quiet expanse of Hudson Bay stretched beneath a sky painted in the delicate hues of a winter evening in the year 1987. A gentle twilight settled softly upon the vast frozen landscape, gradually wrapping the world in a mantle of serene amber and faded gold. Along a windswept stretch of newly frozen shoreline, the last embers of daylight lingered, reflecting in soft, shifting patterns across smooth, unbroken sheets of ice that had only recently formed a sturdy crust over the water. A subtle breeze, almost imperceptible, brushed its quiet path across untouched drifts of snow, stirring tiny, brilliant snow crystals into a slow, silent dance. The air itself held a crisp, clean scent, carrying with it the deep stillness that precedes a long Arctic night. In this tranquil setting, a solitary polar bear began its calm journey. Its colossal form moved with an unhurried grace, a powerful yet gentle presence against the muted backdrop. Thick white fur, perfectly adapted to the cold, blended almost seamlessly with the shimmering snow and ice, creating an illusion of effortless integration into the landscape. Each step was a testament to the bear's patient nature, a rhythm that resonated with the profound silence of the evening. The bear's soft breath, a faint plume of warmth, swirled momentarily in the frigid air before vanishing, a quiet reminder of life's steady pulse in this immense, peaceful wilderness. The fading golden sky cast long, soft shadows that stretched and deepened with each passing moment. These subtle changes across the ice and snow added a quiet mystery to the scene, inviting a gentle curiosity without any hint of urgency. The bear continued padding across ice, its large, quiet paws finding sure footing on the slick, frozen surface. There was no rush in its movements, only a deliberate, steady progression, a natural response to the unhurried pace of the Arctic world. This initial movement was the beginning of a gradual overnight passage, a long and quiet exploration under the slowly dimming light. Overhead, the sky shifted from golden to a softer, more muted palette of rose and lavender, reflecting on the calm night sky. Distant calls of seabirds, returning to their sheltered roosts, drifted on the light wind, a faint, comforting sound that soon faded into the vastness. These sounds served only to deepen the overarching feeling of silent nature, underscoring the stillness that embraced the bear's journey. The entire environment seemed to breathe a collective sigh, preparing for the deeper hours of darkness that lay ahead. The bear's journey along this frozen edge felt like a natural extension of the landscape, a stable and predictable element within an otherwise ethereal setting. As the sun dipped entirely below the horizon, the light did not vanish abruptly, but receded with a graceful slowness, pulling back like a tide. This gentle dimming created a prolonged period of twilight, a soft transition zone between day and night. The outlines of distant sea ice, once sharp, softened into indistinct shapes, hinting at the expansive, frozen horizons yet to be explored. The air grew colder, but the bear's thick white fur provided a warm, impenetrable barrier, fostering a pervasive feeling of comfort and safety within the vast, exposed environment. The bear paused, not to rest its sturdy limbs, but to observe the subtle transformation of the world around it. Its gaze swept across the quiet plains, taking in the shifting light and the deepening shadows. This calm pause was brief, a moment of deep relaxation before resuming its quiet path. The experience was one of utter stability, a predictable unfolding of time in a predictable world. The ice beneath its paws was a solid, unwavering foundation, ensuring a safe feeling throughout its slow journey. The first faint stars began to prickle through the darkening sky, tiny pinpricks of light in the deepening blue. Each star emerged with the same patient slowness as the twilight itself, contributing to the tranquil stillness of the Arctic landscape. The bear's soft breath continued its steady rhythm, a gentle accompaniment to the quiet murmur of the faint wind. The world was settling, finding its nocturnal peace, and the polar bear moved within this peace, an integral part of its quiet unfolding. This steady forward motion was less a destination-driven trek and more a continuation of its being, a peaceful existence within its cold, beautiful domain. The path ahead along the newly frozen shoreline stretched into the gathering gloom, a quiet invitation to continue the peaceful journey. The subtle crunch of its quiet paws on the fresh snow was the only disturbance in the immense stillness, a low, rhythmic sound that was deeply comforting in its consistency. The air, crisp and cold, filled the bear's lungs with each deep, slow breath, a constant, stable presence. This quiet exploration of the frozen edge, under the last gentle whispers of twilight, promised a night of calm progression, a continuous narrative woven into the fabric of the Arctic itself. The bear continued its deliberate walk, moving slowly, blending with the landscape as the last traces of amber light softly receded into the embrace of the coming night, leaving behind a profound sense of deep relaxation. Chapter 2. Leaving the immediate embrace of the frozen shoreline behind, the solitary polar bear continued its slow, steady journey, now veering inland. The subtle shifts in the landscape guided its gentle movements away from the vast, dark expanse of Hudson Bay, leading it into a different kind of quietude. Ahead, a series of sculpted snow ridges rose softly from the flat ground, shaped over countless winters by the patient breath of Arctic winds. This corridor of elegant snow dunes presented a new, peaceful pathway, a flowing river of white that invited a calm progression deeper into the northern wilderness. The last traces of dusk still lingered in the sky, a faint, ethereal glow that brushed the highest curves of the dunes with a whisper of silver and pale indigo. This soft, fading light created long, languid shadows that stretched across the pristine snow, painting the landscape with strokes of deepening tranquility. Each ridge and hollow was now subtly defined by these elongating forms, suggesting a quiet depth and dimension to the world. The air remained still, holding the crisp essence of winter, a clean and gentle coolness that was a constant companion to the bear. Its thick white fur, already a part of this serene backdrop, seemed to absorb the twilight, blending seamlessly with the gathering calm. As the bear wandered through these snowy shores, its quiet paws crunching softly with each deliberate step, the terrain beneath shifted in texture, no longer the smooth, expansive ice of the immediate coast. Here the snow was deeper, softer in places, yet firm enough to support its substantial weight. The varying resistance beneath its sturdy limbs was a gentle, consistent sensation, a rhythm of quiet progress. Small, intricately patterned snow crystals, disturbed by its passage, would occasionally shimmer and settle, creating tiny, transient sparkles that caught the dimming light before vanishing back into the uniform whiteness. This peaceful motion was an anchor in the vast, still environment, a constant, comforting presence. The bear's soft breath swirled in faint clouds, visible for a moment against the encroaching darkness before dissolving into the vast, open air. There was a steady rhythm to its calm breathing, a natural pulse that mirrored the slow, unhurried pace of its exploration. This consistent, gentle sound was almost imperceptible, lost in the immensity of the quiet nature, yet it marked its unwavering presence within the peaceful wilderness. It moved with an innate sense of purpose, not hurried, not restless, but simply moving, following the ancient pathways etched into the frozen earth. Occasionally the polar bear would pause, its broad head lifting just slightly, its dark eyes scanning the soft undulations of the snow dunes. These were moments of still observation, when the world seemed to hold its own breath. Tiny snow grains, loosened from the dune crests by the gentlest currents of air, danced almost imperceptibly, catching the faint remnants of twilight. They spun and swirled, delicate specks of light against the deepening canvas of the evening sky, a silent, meditative ballet performed only for the vast expanse of the Arctic and the patient gaze of the bear. This quiet spectacle offered a unique form of mind relaxation, a simple, pure visual that encouraged a sense of deep stillness. The journey through the snow dune passage was a study in gentle progression. With each bend in the natural corridor, new patterns carved by the wind were revealed, intricate ripples and smooth, sweeping curves that seemed to have been designed for aesthetic pleasure. The bear flowed with these shapes, its body a part of the landscape following the path of least resistance, a testament to its harmonious connection with its environment. The air, though cold, never felt harsh, but rather clean and pure, conducive to a calm breathing, a slow breathing that settled deep within the chest. As the last sliver of the sun's glow finally disappeared below the distant horizon, leaving behind only a faint memory of its warmth, the sky above began to deepen into richer shades of charcoal and soft navy. The snow dunes, once touched by a fleeting luminosity, now absorbed the growing darkness, becoming softer, more muted in their presence. Yet, even in this transition, a subtle light endured, a diffused luminescence from the unseen moon already rising, promising to soon illuminate the scene. This sense of gathering twilight was not a closing, but an opening, an invitation into the profound stillness of the Arctic night. The peaceful motion continued, a steady, measured pace through the heart of the sculpted snow. The bear was not seeking a specific destination with urgency, but rather experiencing the journey itself, a series of gentle steps across a tranquil landscape. Each soft step contributed to a quiet sense of progress, a forward movement that was both reassuring and deeply calming. This continuous, predictable journey fostered a feeling of safety, a profound stability in the vastness. It was a perfect setting for deep relaxation, where the simple act of existing and moving through such a serene world could inspire a peaceful mind. The subtle sounds of the wind, often a powerful force in this land, were hushed here within the protective curves of the dunes, creating a gentle night ambiance. Only the softest whispers of air drifted past, barely stirring the fine snow, contributing to the silent nature of the passage. This quiet environment was a natural extension of the bear's own internal calm, a mirror to its unhurried spirit. It was a time for rest without stopping, a meditative state induced by the rhythmic movement and the profound quietude. The feeling of comfort was absolute, a natural part of its existence in this peaceful domain. As the evening deepened further toward night, the shadows grew long and indistinct, merging with the deepening gloom. The boundaries between the snow and the sky began to soften, creating a seamless expanse of tranquil darkness. The air became colder, crisper, carrying with it the promise of a truly starry night, though the first stars were yet to emerge. The bear continued to wander, its silent presence a part of the unfolding Arctic night. Its journey through these snow dunes was a gentle passage, carrying it steadily forward, away from the coastal edge and toward new, quiet landscapes that waited in the vast, sleepy woodland of the Arctic. The profound stillness of this passage enveloped everything, inviting a soft descent into slumber. Chapter 3. The polar bear ambled onward from the sculpted snow dunes, its steady progress carrying it deeper into the vast, unfolding Arctic night. The last faint blush of dusk had finally melted into the horizon, yielding entirely to the deepening shades of the evening sky. A new landscape began to emerge from the encroaching darkness, a terrain unlike the soft, undulating drifts it had just traversed. Before the bear now lay a field of ancient ice formations, their rounded shapes rising gently from the frozen ground, like slumbering giants. These were not the sharp, jagged forms of newly fractured ice, but rather the smooth, weathered contours of pressure ridges softened by countless seasons of wind and snowfall. As the bear approached, the first truly discernible light of the moon began to filter through the thin, high clouds that had gathered, casting a subtle, ethereal glow upon the landscape. The ice mounds, previously mere dark masses, now revealed themselves with a quiet beauty. Moonlight, cool and pale, started to replace the vanished sun, painting the colossal shapes in a spectrum of delicate blue and soft silver. Each curve and crevice of the ice hills caught the faint light, creating gentle gradations of shadow and luminescence. The air itself felt different here, colder and clearer, holding a deeper stillness that allowed soft echoes to travel on the nearly silent wind. These were not loud, startling sounds, but barely perceptible whispers, the breath of the Arctic itself, sighing over the frozen architecture. The bear's quiet paws began to navigate between these impressive ice mounds. The texture beneath its feet changed from the yielding soft snow to a firmer, more resilient surface, and with each step, a muted, soft crunch accompanied its progress. It was a sound that blended seamlessly into the pervasive calm of the environment, a rhythmic, reassuring counterpoint to the absolute stillness that otherwise reigned. Its thick white fur, a masterpiece of natural insulation, seemed to absorb the scant light, making the bear almost a part of the peaceful frozen scenery as it moved. The exploration was unhurried, a slowly unfolding journey through a natural gallery of frozen art. Some mounds were small, easily skirted, others loomed tall, requiring the bear to thread its way through narrow passages between them. In these shadowed corridors, the blue tint of the ice deepened, creating mesmerizing tunnels of comfort and quiet mystery. The bear paused near one such massive formation, its massive head turning slowly from side to side, as if absorbing the intricate details of the ice, the crystalline structures that glittered faintly under the moon's emerging brilliance. Its soft breath swirling in the frigid air created tiny clouds that vanished as gentle as they appeared, adding to the fleeting beauty of the moment. Overhead, as the moon climbed higher, the first stars began to emerge, piercing the deepening indigo of the calm night sky. They appeared one by one, tiny distant points of light, slowly filling the vast expanse above the ice mounds. This natural progression from evening into the full Arctic night brought a profound sense of continuity and stability. The bear, an enduring presence in this timeless landscape, continued its patient journey, its every movement a testament to the peaceful rhythm of its existence. There was no rush, no urgency, only a steady, gentle exploration of the world around it. The quiet paws crunching softly became a constant, almost meditative sound, grounding the bear in the present moment as it wandered through the silent field. This still exploration offered a deep sense of relaxation. The enormous sculpted ice forms, bathed in soft blue light, provided an immediate feeling of safety and enclosure, even amidst the immense open wilderness. The bear moved with an innate grace, its large body a picture of comfort and robust health against the cool, peaceful backdrop. It was a scene devoid of distraction, a pure experience of the calm and quiet Arctic, promoting a peaceful mind for any who might observe its solitary passage. The air, crisp and clean, carried only the faintest whisper of distant winds, a sound so soft it merely enhanced the prevailing stillness. The moon's light grew stronger, painting the highest ridges of the ice mounds with a brighter silver sheen, while the deep recesses remained cloaked in blue shadows. These shifting patterns of light and dark created a constantly evolving panorama, a gentle display that invited a deep sense of rest. The bear chose a path that wound through these magnificent structures, its slowly measured pace allowing for full appreciation of the quiet grandeur. Each step was deliberate, unhurried, a continuation of its ongoing journey across the frozen horizons. The journey through these blue shadows was a chapter of quiet discovery, a seamless transition into the deep, calm heart of the Arctic night, preparing the world for even greater stillness to come. The experience was one of utter comfort, a safe feeling that settled over the landscape and the bear alike as the calm night sky watched over all. Chapter 4. From the gentle curves of the ice mounds, the polar bear ambled with a slow, deliberate cadence, its quiet paws crunching softly over the frozen ground. The landscape subtly shifted once more, guiding its journey into a shallow, sheltered depression that lay like a natural basin within the expansive Arctic night. This hollow, a serene indentation in the vast undulating terrain, promised a moment of respite, a quiet haven from the more pervasive wind that swept across the higher ridges and plains. As the bear descended into its soft confines, an immediate sense of quietude settled upon the air, a perceptible hush that replaced the faint, whispering currents it had recently navigated. Within this sheltered space, the atmosphere transformed, becoming a stiller, almost suspended realm where the air felt thicker, less disturbed. Moonlight, now robust and full, spilled generously into the hollow, bathing every surface in a soft, ethereal glow. Here, the frost, liberated from the relentless push of the wind, had gathered with an uncommon density, forming intricate patterns and thick crystalline layers across every exposed rock, every gentle rise of snow. It sparkled with a million tiny points of silver and blue, turning the entire hollow into a luminous, otherworldly chamber. The bear's thick white fur, already a masterpiece of winter camouflage, seemed to absorb and reflect this moonlit brilliance, making its form appear even more integrated with the landscape. It moved slowly now, each step a careful placement within the shimmering tableau. The sensation of comfort began to unfold as the deeper quiet embraced its presence. The hollow offered a true respite, a place where the insistent murmur of the Arctic wind was muted to barely a whisper, creating a profound stillness that encouraged deep relaxation. A faint crackle, almost imperceptible, rose from the settling ice and frost-laden snow as the temperature continued its slow, steady descent. This delicate sound was not startling, but rather a soft, natural accent in the pervasive silence, a tiny, quiet breath of the frozen world. The bear found a slight rise, a gentle drift of snow that had accumulated against a low, ice-covered rock, and with a slow, measured movement, it began to settle. Its sturdy limbs stretched briefly, finding the most comfortable position before its great body lowered itself onto the soft, cold bed of snow. This was a moment for rest, a precious pause in its long, continuous journey across the frozen expanse. Its soft breath swirled gently in the cold air, each exhalation creating a faint, misty plume that dissolved into the stillness above. The bear's eyes, dark and observant, watched the frozen horizons of the hollow, noting the way the moonlight pooled in the sheltered air, illuminating the delicate artistry of winter's touch. Every tiny ice crystal, every feathering of frost on a blade of dormant tundra grass, stood out with crystalline clarity, a silent artwork created by winter itself. The feeling of safety enveloped the bear in this protected space. Away from the broader, more exposed plains, the hollow held a feeling of enclosure, a peaceful sanctuary where the elements felt less grand and more intimate. This temporary shelter offered not just physical protection from the elements, but a deep sense of internal calm. Its peaceful mind settled, finding a tranquil rhythm that resonated with the quiet nature surrounding it. Thoughts, if a bear had them, might drift like the slow-moving frost particles, unhurried and soft. For a time, the bear remained perfectly still, a magnificent fur-clad sculpture bathed in the moonlit frost. It conserved its energy, allowing the deep relaxation of this quiet nature to wash over its massive form. The stillness was absolute, broken only by the softest internal sounds of its own existence. This prolonged moment of comfort was a profound gift of the Arctic night, a chance to simply be in the presence of such overwhelming, silent beauty. It was a true stress relief, a slow, breathing kind of calm. The frost patterns became a silent meditation. On the undersides of small overhangs, delicate fronds of ice had grown, forming intricate fern-like structures. On the flat surfaces, the frost lay like finely crushed diamonds, each facet catching and scattering the moonlight. The bear's gaze, calm and unhurried, explored these miniature landscapes, finding a quiet fascination in their ephemeral beauty. This was a moment for gentle observation, allowing the world to reveal its most subtle, hidden wonders without demanding any action in return. The hours of Arctic night passed with a predictable, peaceful stability, marked only by the slow, stately movement of the moon across the calm night sky. The frost continued its silent work, adding imperceptible layers to the existing mantle, deepening the blanket of shimmering crystals. The bear remained nestled into the snow, its thick white fur providing ample insulation against the persistent cold. There was no urgency, no call to move, only the deep invitation to rest after wandering through the previous passages. As the moon reached its zenith and began its slow descent, painting longer, softer shadows across the hollow, the bear stirred almost imperceptibly. The quiet stillness had filled it, providing not just rest but a renewed sense of gentle strength. Its temporary pause was nearing its end, but the deep comfort lingered, a warmth drawn from the very heart of the quiet, frozen world. With a slow, deliberate movement, it would soon prepare to rise, ready to continue its journey, carrying the peaceful mind and deep relaxation of this moonlit frost hollow with it, slowly emerging from this temporary haven back into the vast, calm night. The journey would continue, a gentle progression through the boundless, frozen landscape. Chapter 5. The polar bear stirred from its brief, comforting rest within the frost hollow. A soft exhale, a wisp of vapor, drifted gently into the frigid air, momentarily obscuring the intricate frost patterns it had observed moments before. Its body, warmed by its thick white fur, had found a temporary solace, a deep sense of calm in that sheltered space. Now, a subtle shift in the wind's quiet cadence seemed to beckon it onward, a gentle call to continue its steady journey. Slowly, the magnificent creature stretched its sturdy limbs, each movement deliberate and unhurried, releasing the lingering stillness from its muscles. It rose to its full height, casting a long, soft shadow that stretched across the sparkling frost, then began to move, its quiet paws crunching lightly as it exited the small, protective depression. Beyond the hollow, the land opened, revealing a new pathway, distinct from the rounded mounds and drifts it had navigated earlier. Before the bear lay a silent ice channel, a narrow frozen passage carved between broad, towering ice shelves. These formations rose on either side like silent guardians, their vast surfaces smoothed by ages of wind and subtle shifts in temperature. The channel presented an inviting corridor, a natural continuation of its tranquil, wandering snowy shores journey, offering a sense of direction within the immense, peaceful wilderness. The bear stepped onto the polished surface of the channel, its weight distributed evenly across the smooth, unwavering ice. Here, the air felt even more still, protected from the restless gusts that sometimes whispered across the open plains. The profound quiet of this place was immediately noticeable. The only sound was the almost imperceptible scuff of its large paws padding across ice, a rhythmic, soothing whisper against the vast silence. It was a gentle night ambiance that enveloped the space, making the night feel expansive yet wonderfully contained. Above, the stars, countless and impossibly distant, shimmered with a serene, cold fire. These celestial lights were not merely points in the sky, they were echoed below, reflected faintly across the polished ice of the channel, creating a celestial pathway beneath the bear's slow progress. The smooth surfaces reflected the stars above with a soft, diffused glow, transforming the frozen corridor into a peaceful forest night, where the icy walls stood in for ancient trees and the starry reflections mimicked the dappled light filtering through a silent canopy. This visual spectacle brought a deep relaxation, a quiet wonder without any trace of excitement. The polar bear continued its slow progression, following coastal paths that had now become internal ice routes. Its head moved with a calm, even rhythm, occasionally turning slightly to gaze at the ice walls that flanked it. These walls, immense and ancient, held subtle textures, faint lines and curves etched by the patient hand of winter. The moonlight, now nearing its zenith, painted these formations with deep blue and silver hues, emphasizing their grandeur without overwhelming the gentle atmosphere. The cold, crisp air was clean, carrying no scents save for the subtle freshness of the ice itself, a pure and unburdened sensation that contributed to the peaceful mind. Each step was a quiet discovery, a moment of unhurried exploration. The bear did not rush, it simply moved, a powerful yet soft presence in the still environment. The channel offered a continuous, predictable path, a stable journey deeper into the Arctic landscape, ensuring a safe feeling throughout its passage. The sense of forward motion was constant, yet it felt as if time itself had slowed, stretching out the moments of its unceasing gentle wander. There was comfort in this steady pace, a predictable rhythm that soothed rather than stimulated. As the bear moved, its soft breath swirling created small, fleeting clouds of vapor that dissolved quickly into the dry air. The peaceful night sky, a boundless tapestry of stars, stretched overhead, providing a vast ceiling to the icy channel. The passage felt secure, enclosed by the high ice walls, yet open to the silent majesty above. It was a unique blend of intimacy and immensity, a tranquil world where the bear could simply be, moving with purpose through its frozen domain. The path beneath its paws remained consistent, an unbroken sheet of polished ice. Sometimes, a faint crackle of settling ice could be heard, a nearly inaudible whisper from the depths of the ancient frozen mass, quickly absorbed by the surrounding stillness. These tiny sounds were not jarring. Rather, they blended into the general quietude, becoming part of the gentle night ambience. The bear's long journey felt like a quiet meditation, a steady, calm breathing rhythm accompanying its steps. The ice channel, in its slow, serpentine course, guided the polar bear further from the known landmarks of the previous nights. It was exploring frozen inlets, following the intricate veins of the frozen world. The subtle variations in the ice, from glassy smooth patches that mirrored the stars perfectly, to areas where fine frost crystals had formed delicate patterns, kept its gentle curiosity engaged without ever raising the pace. Every detail was soft, every observation a quiet appreciation of the winter's artistry. The experience of walking through this silent ice channel was one of continuous, unruffled peace. The towering formations did not press in, but rather embraced the path, creating a sense of natural enclosure and security. The air remained still, almost palpable in its quiet presence, a comforting blanket woven from the cold itself. The bear was entirely at ease, its movements fluid and unforced, a natural extension of the landscape around it. The journey was not about reaching a destination quickly, but about the serene experience of the journey itself. As the channel began to gently widen, the protective walls slowly receded, opening once more to a broader vista. The reflections of the stars, while still present on the receding ice, began to spread out, hinting at an even vaster expanse ahead. The quiet progression continued, a seamless transition from the sheltered channel to a more open, still plain where the calm night sky seemed to stretch endlessly. The bear's journey through the silent ice channel drew to a soft, gradual close, leading it peacefully toward whatever new, tranquil wonders the deeper Arctic night held beyond its icy confines. Chapter 6. The long, quiet passage through the silent ice channel gave way to a vast openness, a sweeping expanse of frozen plain stretching boundlessly in every direction. The towering ice formations that had cradled the bear's journey receded slowly, becoming distant, softened shapes against the deepening canvas of the night. Here, the wind, though still present, felt less channeled, spreading its gentle touch evenly across the wide, level surface of the ice. The air was incredibly still, holding a crisp coldness that settled with a comfortable weight around the large creature. The bear stepped onto this immense white stage, its quiet paws crunching softly on the fine, powdery snow that lay thinly over the solid ice below. Its thick white fur, a cloak of natural warmth, felt the cool caress of the Arctic air, a familiar sensation that brought a profound sense of comfort. The world above was beginning a slow, quiet transformation. Far from the immediate coast, where the last hints of reflected starlight had illuminated the previous path, a new, ethereal glow began to appear. High above the distant horizon, soft auroral lights began to unfurl, painting the immense night sky with delicate, shifting hues. At first, the display was merely a faint whisper of color, a translucent wash of pale green that seemed to drift silently through the darkness. It was a subtle shift in the firmament, almost imperceptible unless observed with a calm and patient eye. These gentle ribbons of light moved with an unhurried grace, stretching and reforming, weaving themselves into shimmering veils that flowed across the star-scattered canvas. The bear continued its deliberate pace, padding across ice that now seemed to reflect the sky's silent nature more intimately. Its soft breath swirled in small, fleeting clouds before it, dissipating into the immense, still air. The green deepened imperceptibly, acquiring hints of silver as the light strengthened. These new, luminous waves drifted with an almost dreamlike quality, never sudden, never jarring, always maintaining a smooth, unhurried progression. They cast a soft, ambient illumination across the broad frozen plain, transforming the stark landscape into a scene of gentle, otherworldly beauty. Every tiny crystal of frost on the ice caught the faint radiance, sparkling with a quiet inner glow. The vast environment felt expansive yet entirely peaceful, holding the bear within its comforting embrace. The contrast between the silent movement above and the steady stillness below was profound. The ice plain beneath the bear's feet offered a consistent, stable surface, a vast white canvas upon which the celestial artistry unfolded. The bear's journey became a meditation in motion, its body a quiet presence against the grand spectacle of the sky. Each step was measured, a rhythmic placement of sturdy limbs as it traversed the flat expanse. The cold air, once a mere sensation, now felt like a part of the quiet atmosphere, a soothing presence that sharpened the senses without disturbing the deep calm. The auroral display became more defined, the green and silver flowing like slow liquid light, sometimes forming arches, sometimes dissolving into diffuse clouds of luminescence. It felt like watching distant peaceful waves in a sky ocean. The polar bear, walking beneath auroras, continued its unhurried crossing. Its gaze, though often directed forward, occasionally tilted upward, observing the silent dance of light. There was no urgency in its movements, only a steady continuation of its path, a profound acceptance of the journey and the beautiful world through which it passed. The immense scale of the open ice plain was both humbling and deeply comforting. Under the aurora's soft glow, the horizon stretched far, hinting at an endless, quiet world beyond the current view. The bear felt the solid ground beneath its paws, a stable anchor in this grand, shimmering space. The soft light created no sharp shadows, only gentle gradations of shade that contoured the subtle undulations of the plain. It was an environment perfectly suited for deep relaxation, where the mind could drift and settle, much like the slow-moving ribbons of light above. The world was hushed, save for the occasional soft sigh of the wind, a sound so gentle it seemed to blend seamlessly with the silence. This quiet nature wrapped around the bear, offering a serene solitude that was reassuring. The luminous sky seemed to breathe with its own slow rhythm, mirroring the calm breathing of the large animal beneath. Each moment unfolded without haste, a seamless continuation of the night's tranquil narrative. The bear was simply moving through it, a part of the quiet grandeur, its journey a testament to the enduring peace of the Arctic winter. The silver threads of aurora would sometimes brighten, then slowly dim again, in a cycle that felt ancient and timeless. These gentle fades and returns added to the hypnotic calm, never overwhelming, always soothing. The cold air continued to kiss the bear's thick white fur, a constant comforting reminder of its place in this frozen realm. Its passage across these icy plains was unburdened, a simple, pure act of onward movement. The light from above created an almost dreamlike quality, softening every edge, blurring every distant feature into a gentle mystery. This vast open plain, bathed in the silent glow, invited a feeling of immense stability. The very air seemed to hold its breath, preserving the delicate balance of light and shadow, sound and silence. The bear moved with an innate sense of purpose, yet without any visible effort, its powerful body flowing easily over the snow-dusted ice. The atmosphere was one of quietude, a sanctuary from any notion of haste or disturbance. This was simply the Arctic night, unfolding in its own unhurried way, with the bear as its calm, steadfast witness. The auroral drift continued its majestic, soft performance, its colors now a little stronger, hinting at deeper greens and subtle, shifting silvers. The expansive view offered by the open plain allowed the bear to fully experience the celestial display, a panorama of silent wonder stretching from edge to edge of the visible sky. The bear's journey was a continuous flow, a quiet progression through a world defined by profound stillness and gentle, luminous beauty. It was a moment of deep comfort, a serene unfolding of the night beneath the captivating, peaceful light. The bear felt the firmness of the ice beneath its weight, a reassuring constant. The cold air, crisp and clean, filled its lungs with each soft breath, a slow and steady rhythm. The shimmering curtains of aurora above seemed to guide its passage, not with urgency, but with a silent, inviting presence. Every element of the environment contributed to a pervasive sense of calm, from the vastness of the plain to the gentle sway of light across the darkness. The bear was simply existing, moving, observing, enveloped in the quietude of the Arctic night, a safe feeling permeating its journey. The long, broad expanse of the frozen plain gradually began to subtly change its character. In the very far distance, faint outlines of slightly elevated terrain began to emerge from the soft auroral haze. These would be the next steps in its journey, a continuation of the gentle pilgrimage across the sleeping landscape. For now, the plain remained wide and open, holding the bear firmly in its quiet space under the gentle drifting lights. The calm night sky continued its slow, silent rotation, promising further wonders for the journey ahead as the bear maintained its steady, unwavering path. Chapter 7. The bear continued its patient traverse across the vast, open ice plain, where the soft auroral lights had woven gentle ribbons of green and silver through the cold, silent darkness of the sky. Its progress had been smooth and unbroken, a quiet movement beneath the shifting, ethereal glow. Slowly, as the bear ambled onward, the flat expanse of the plain began to undulate, the frozen ground rising in subtle, almost imperceptible curves. Ahead, a faint elevation appeared, catching the lingering gleam of the moon and the last whispers of the aurora. This was the approach to the crystalline ridge, a narrow, elevated path sculpted by the persistent, soft Arctic winds. With each quiet step, the ground beneath its thick white fur became firmer, the snow giving way to a more compressed, icy surface. The bear's pace remained steady, a picture of calm determination as it began its gentle ascent. The air here, though still cold, felt somehow clearer, carrying the delicate sounds of the wind in a new, subtle way. It was not a bluster, but a quiet brushing, a soft sighing against the intricate surfaces of the ridge. The bear stretched its sturdy limbs, finding firm purchase on the gradually inclining ice, its powerful form moving with an inherent grace that bespoke profound comfort in this frozen world. As it climbed higher, the character of the ice changed. Every surface began to glitter with an astonishing, quiet brilliance. Tiny, wind-polished ice crystals coated the ridge, reflecting the dwindling moonlight and the fainter, dreamlike shimmer of the aurora. It was as if the very pathway beneath its paws had been dusted with countless tiny, silent jewels. The soft glow from the sky above seemed to become trapped in these crystals, making the ridge itself appear to softly radiate light. This visual stillness contributed to a deep relaxation, a sense of wonder so gentle it was soothing. The bear reached the crest of the narrow ridge, pausing for a moment to take in the broader views of the frozen wilderness that unfolded on either side. The landscape beneath the vast, calm night sky seemed to stretch endlessly, a panorama of silent nature, an unbroken canvas of white and muted blues. Distant ice mounds, similar to those it had passed earlier, appeared as soft, rounded shadows on the horizon, while the great expanse of the frozen bay lay far beyond, a stable and immense presence. The world around felt suspended in time, held in a fragile, glittering balance. The wind here, at this slightly higher elevation, offered its own soft song. It was not a roar, but a constant whispering current, drifting over the icy surfaces, creating a sound that was less of a rush and more of a gentle hum. The tiny ice crystals responded to this air current, sometimes rustling almost imperceptibly, a quiet, soothing symphony that filled the peaceful wilderness. The bear's soft breath swirled in small, misty clouds before its muzzle, a rhythmic, comforting presence in the frigid air. Its deep, calm breathing blended with the subtle atmosphere, adding to the feeling of profound safety. The bear began to move along the backbone of the ridge, its quiet paws crunching softly on the crystalline ice. Each step was deliberate, unhurried, a continuation of its long journey across the quiet plains. The feeling of stable progress was constant, a quiet assurance in the vastness. It was a slow, steady exploration, a gentle forward motion guided by an instinctual rhythm. The aurora, though now much fainter, still cast a soft greenish sheen over everything, making the landscape appear as if seen through a half-remembered dream. This elevated perspective allowed the bear to gaze over waters that lay far in the distance, a barely discernible line where the permanent sea ice met the vastness of the frozen bay. The moonlight, though waning, still painted long, soft shadows across the undulating terrain below, enhancing the sense of quietude and depth. The bear moved with a graceful confidence, its senses attuned to the nuances of the cold air and the subtle textures beneath its paws. There was no urgency, only a peaceful, continuous journey. As it continued along the crystalline ridge, The bear was fully enveloped in this tranquil, glittering world, the beauty of the wind-polished ice reflecting every available speck of light created an almost magical yet profoundly natural scene. It was a place where time seemed to slow even further, where every detail, from the smallest ice crystal to the furthest horizon, contributed to a deep relaxation. The bear found a quiet comfort in this stable height, a temporary haven above the broad frozen expanses. The gentle slopes of the ridge soon began their slow decline. The elevation, once gained, now offered a gradual descent back towards the plains. The bear began to lower itself, its sturdy limbs guiding it effortlessly down the smooth, icy surfaces. The aurora had almost entirely faded, leaving the scene primarily under the soft moonlight, which was now beginning its own slow retreat. The feeling of stillness remained, a silent promise of ongoing peace as the journey moved toward the next stage of its quiet progression. The world was still, vast, and offered an endless, calm path forward. Chapter 8. The bear had moved with a deliberate, gentle rhythm across the high crystal ridge, its thick white fur blending softly with the shimmering landscape. Now the terrain began to slope downward, a gradual decline leading away from the elevated ice into a broad, expansive hollow. With each slow step, the world around the bear seemed to open, becoming softer and more encompassing. The wind, which had brushed delicately against the crystal surfaces on the ridge, now seemed to quieten, its gentle sighs barely perceptible as the bear descended into the sheltered basin below. This vast, snow-filled basin lay like a quiet cradle in the heart of the frozen land, a wide hollow sculpted by unseen forces of ice and wind over countless seasons. Here, the air felt noticeably calmer, carrying less of the brisk energy of the open plains. It was a cold air, certainly, but a still, deep cold that settled with a comforting weight, encouraging a sense of profound stillness. The quiet was absolute, a deep and embracing silence that seemed to absorb any stray sound, leaving only the softest whispers of the Arctic night. Above, the sky stretched out in an infinite velvety expanse, utterly free from any hint of cloud. Countless stars, like scattered diamonds, glittered with an ancient, unwavering light. They shimmered and sparkled, each tiny point of light a distant, silent beacon in the vastness. It was an immense Arctic sky, overwhelming in its grandeur, yet profoundly peaceful in its unwavering presence. The bear, as it ambled slowly into the deepest part of the basin, often lifted its massive head, its dark eyes gazing upwards for a long, quiet moment, lost in the silent grandeur. Across the terrain, snowdrifts formed soft, rolling shapes, like gentle waves frozen mid-motion. They rose and fell in serene undulations, creating a landscape of subtle curves and contours. Moonlight, combined with the faint, ethereal glow of the distant aurora that still lingered on the northern horizon, painted these drifts with soft, shifting shadows. These shadows moved with an almost imperceptible slowness as the celestial bodies continued their patient journey across the calm night sky. The bear's quiet paws crunching gently on the packed snow was the only sound for long stretches, a soft and steady rhythm that spoke of peaceful progression. The bear felt the protective embrace of the basin, a truly sheltered expanse where the immediate forces of the wind were softened. It was a sensation of quiet isolation, a profound feeling of being entirely alone, yet utterly safe within the vast, peaceful wilderness. This sense of safety deepened with every slow, methodical breath it took, its soft breath swirling gently in the crisp, still air, visible only as ephemeral wisps that vanished quickly into the cold. The routine of movement and observation was a steadying presence, guiding its journey through the long Arctic night. As the hours of night slowly passed, marked only by the shifting positions of the stars, the bear found a particularly sheltered dip within a large snowdrift. It settled down gently, allowing its thick white fur to sink into the cold, soft cushion of snow. This brief period of rest after wandering was not for sleep, but for a deep relaxation, a moment to conserve energy and simply exist within the serene environment. Its sturdy limbs stretched out slightly, then curled inward, finding a position of simple comfort. The bear paused often, listening to the quiet that enveloped the basin. It was not an empty quiet, but one filled with the subtle hum of the frozen world. Perhaps the faint, distant crackle of ice shifting far away, or the almost inaudible settling of snow crystals under the constant gentle pull of gravity. These calming sounds were so subtle that they blended into the vast silence, enhancing the feeling of a quiet forest, a peaceful forest night, rather than disturbing it. This immersive experience allowed for a peaceful mind to settle within the moment, free from any distraction. Occasionally, the bear observed subtle movements of light across the snow. These were not sudden flashes, but the slow, gradual changes in shadow as the moon progressed, or the almost imperceptible drift of the auroral glow. Each shift was a gentle revelation, highlighting a new texture on a snowdrift or a previously unnoticed sparkle of frost. The entire scene was one of tranquil beauty, an ongoing, quiet spectacle unfolding beneath the silent expanse of stars. It was a perfect atmosphere for stress relief, a soft mystery unfolding with utter calm. The bear found comfort in this still environment. It was a comfort born of predictability, of the steady rhythm of the Arctic night, of the consistent cold and the unwavering presence of the stars. There was no urgency here, no need for hurried movements. Each moment flowed seamlessly into the next, contributing to a truly relaxing sleep story, one that unfolded with gentle grace. The bear was a part of this landscape, its presence adding another layer of quietude to the serene tableau. Hours continued to unwind in the deep stillness of the basin. The stars above maintained their silent vigil, their light undimmed by any cloud. The bear remained settled for a longer period than previous pauses, feeling the profound stability of the snow beneath it, the quiet support of the earth. This prolonged rest allowed for a deeper sense of peaceful relaxation to permeate its powerful frame. It felt entirely safe, wrapped in the vast silence under the protection of the open, calm night sky. The basin was a temporary haven, a perfect place for such a gentle period of calm breathing. Its breath was slow and steady, each exhalation a soft cloud that vanished quickly. The quiet routine of simply being, of watching the frozen horizons with patient observation, was deeply soothing. This moment of peace fostered a quiet reflection, a deep sense of connection to the surrounding silent nature. It was a time for internal rest, a natural interlude in its long journey. As the night approached its deepest point, the air grew even colder, crisp and clean. The faint glow of the aurora began to recede, leaving the sky entirely to the brilliance of the stars. This transition was as soft and gentle as all the others, a quiet ebb and flow of cosmic light. The bear, still settled comfortably in the snowdrift, slowly lifted its head once more. Its gaze swept across the star-dusted canopy, a long, peaceful observation of the celestial tapestry above. The immense quietude of the moment deepened further, inviting a sense of profound stillness. Eventually, with a slow, deliberate movement, the bear began to stir. Its sturdy limbs uncurled, stretching gently before it pushed itself upright. The snow that had nestled around its thick white fur fell away softly, leaving barely a trace of its resting spot. There was no rush in its movements, only a graceful transition from stillness back to slow motion. The period of deep relaxation in the drift basin had been replenishing, a quiet comfort that strengthened it for the continuation of its journey. With quiet paws crunching softly, the bear padded across the pristine snow of the basin floor. Its steps were unhurried, each one deliberate and measured. It moved slowly toward the northern edge of the basin, where the terrain began a subtle incline once more. The vast, star-filled sky still stretched overhead, a comforting blanket of distant light. The peaceful sensation of isolation lingered, but now it was tinged with a gentle readiness to continue exploring frozen inlets and paths. The quietude of the basin slowly began to recede behind it, replaced by the subtle shift in atmosphere as the bear started its slow ascent from the sheltered hollow. The feeling of safety remained, carried within its steady stride. It was a creature perfectly adapted to this still, cold world, moving with a natural harmony. The vast, peaceful wilderness was its home, and its journey through it was a continuous, calming narrative, a constant and gentle progression towards new, quiet discoveries. The passage of nighttime hours, though slow, was also a steady forward motion, bringing the bear closer to the next phase of its nocturnal wandering, a journey that promised only more serene landscapes and tranquil observations under the ever-present, watchful stars. Chapter 9. The polar bear stirred from its brief stillness within the sheltered basin, a profound sense of quietude still lingering in the cold air. Its thick white fur, having absorbed the soft, pale glow of distant starlight, seemed to shimmer with a gentle internal light as it slowly rose. The vast, peaceful wilderness stretched all around, an unbroken tapestry of snow and ice under the vast Arctic sky. Each movement was deliberate, unhurried, as the bear stretched its sturdy limbs, preparing to continue its long, calm journey through the deep hours of the night. The comforting stillness of the basin gently released its hold, allowing the bear to once again begin its quiet progression. Leaving the snow-filled hollow behind, the polar bear began to amble across the tundra, its silent paws crunching softly with each step upon the crisp, frozen ground. The landscape began to reveal a new feature, a subtle indentation that snaked across the expanse. It was the pathway of an ancient river, now long frozen, its surface smoothed by countless winters. This natural channel offered a sense of direction, a subtle, flowing line within the otherwise vast and still environment. Moonlight, now clearer and more direct as the aurora had faded to a softer shimmer on the far horizon, cast a silver ribbon across the polished ice of the riverbed. The bear followed the course of this frozen river, its movements a slow, rhythmic padding across the ice. The river twisted and turned with gentle curves, a silent guide through the slumbering land. Reflections shimmered softly along the icy surface, mirroring the distant stars and the soft glow of the moon. Each shimmer was a fleeting dance of light, appearing and disappearing with the bear's steady advance. The surrounding snowdrifts, piled high on either side of the ancient river, absorbed what little sound there was, making the world feel even more deeply quiet. Only the gentle whisper of the polar bear's soft breath swirling in the cold air punctuated the profound silence. This pathway felt familiar, a natural artery through the heart of the frozen world. The ice beneath its paws was often smooth, offering a different sensation than the varied textures of snow and ridged ice it had traversed before. Sometimes, the surface was slightly rippled, catching the moonlight in 1,000 tiny facets, each one a miniature mirror reflecting the calm night sky. The bear moved with an unhurried grace, its powerful frame seeming to glide rather than walk. There was no urgency in its purpose, only the steady, comforting rhythm of continuous travel. As the bear followed the winding river, the landscape around it unfolded with subtle changes. Low-lying willows, encased in thick hoarfrost, lined certain sections of the banks, their branches forming delicate, ghostly sculptures in the moonlight. These frozen forms stood in silent vigil, adding to the gentle night ambience. The air remained incredibly cold, crisp and still, invigorating without being harsh. It was a cold that spoke of permanence and the deep, peaceful mind of winter itself. The bear's journey felt integrated into this stillness, a natural part of the quiet, stable description of the setting. The river itself, though frozen solid, carried a phantom sense of movement, a memory of waters that once flowed. This visual flow created a feeling of continuity, assuring a gentle forward progression, even as the pace remained slow and deliberate. The bear did not rush, it simply was, moving through this silent nature. Every so often it would pause, not to rest fully, but to simply observe the tranquil stillness, listening to the almost imperceptible shifts in the environment. A faint crackle of settling ice in the distance, a soft gust of wind brushing over a distant snowdrift. These were the only sounds in the deep quiet. The night deepened, advancing toward its coldest, most profound hours. Yet, within this immense cold and darkness, the bear found a continuous comfort. Its thick white fur provided perfect insulation, creating a warm, personal microclimate beneath the vast, calm night sky. The soft, padded footfalls continued, a low, repetitive sound that was almost hypnotic in its regularity. The bear was a creature perfectly attuned to this environment, its very presence a testament to the enduring peace of the Arctic winter. This slow, predictable journey was a source of great stability. The frozen river led the bear further inland, away from the coast, but it still maintained a gentle connection to the broader landscape. Sometimes the river widened into small frozen lakes, smooth expanses where the moonlight seemed to pool more intensely, creating brilliant patches of silver light. The bear would cross these stretches with the same calm determination, its shadow stretching long and distorted ahead of it, a silent companion in the vastness. It was a journey of simple, repetitive actions, each one contributing to a deep relaxation. The world was a study in monochromatic beauty, shades of white, silver, and pale blue under the soft moonlight. The texture of the snow varied from fine, powdery drifts along the riverbanks to coarser, wind-packed surfaces further out on the tundra. The bear's quiet paws crunched through each, adapting effortlessly, experiencing the subtle sensory details of its environment. It was exploring frozen inlets and bends in the river, following coastal paths that were now buried deep under winter's blanket, but whose forms were still echoed by the ancient waterways. As the night continued its measured progression, the air remained remarkably still, offering no strong winds to disturb the profound quietness. This gentle night ambience enveloped the bear, creating a cocoon of comfort. The long frozen river pathway, reflecting moonlight like a silver ribbon, continued to guide the bear through the peaceful wilderness. Its journey, unhurried and consistent, mirrored the slow turning of the earth and the steady passage of the Arctic night. There was a sense of completion in each step, a quiet satisfaction in the forward movement, leading slowly but surely into the deepest part of the winter night, promising continued rest and serenity. The polar bear stirred from its brief stillness within the sheltered basin, a profound sense of quietude still lingering in the cold air. Its thick white fur, having absorbed the soft, pale glow of distant starlight, seemed to shimmer with a gentle internal light as it slowly rose. The vast, peaceful wilderness stretched all around, an unbroken tapestry of snow and ice under the vast Arctic sky. Each movement was deliberate, unhurried, as the bear stretched its sturdy limbs, preparing to continue its long, calm journey through the deep hours of the night. The comforting stillness of the basin gently released its hold, allowing the bear to once again begin its quiet progression. Leaving the snow-filled hollow behind, the polar bear began to amble across tundra, its silent paws crunching softly with each step upon the crisp, frozen ground. The landscape began to reveal a new feature, a subtle indentation that snaked across the expanse. It was the pathway of an ancient river, now long frozen, its surface smoothed by countless winters. This natural channel offered a sense of direction, a subtle flowing line within the otherwise vast and still environment. Moonlight, now clearer and more direct as the aurora had faded to a softer shimmer on the far horizon, cast a silver ribbon across the polished ice of the riverbed. The bear followed the course of this frozen river, its movements a slow, rhythmic padding across ice. The river twisted and turned with gentle curves, a silent guide through the slumbering land. Reflections shimmered softly along the icy surface, mirroring the distant stars in the soft glow of the moon. Each shimmer was a fleeting dance of light, appearing and disappearing with the bear's steady advance. The surrounding snowdrifts piled high on either side of the ancient river absorbed what little sound there was, making the world feel even more deeply quiet. Only the gentle whisper of the polar bear's soft breath swirling in the cold air punctuated the profound silence. This pathway felt familiar, a natural artery through the heart of the frozen world. The ice beneath its paws was often smooth, offering a different sensation than the varied textures of snow and ridged ice it had traversed before. Sometimes the surface was slightly rippled, catching the moonlight in 1,000 tiny facets, each one a miniature mirror reflecting the calm night sky. The bear moved with an unhurried grace, its powerful frame seeming to glide rather than walk. There was no urgency in its purpose, only the steady, comforting rhythm of continuous travel. As the bear followed the winding river, the landscape around it unfolded with subtle changes. Low-lying willows, encased in thick hoarfrost, lined certain sections of the banks, their branches forming delicate, ghostly sculptures in the moonlight. These frozen forms stood in silent vigil, adding to the gentle night ambience. The air remained incredibly cold, crisp and still, invigorating without being harsh. It was a cold that spoke of permanence and the deep, peaceful mind of winter itself. The bear's journey felt integrated into the stillness, a natural part of the quiet, stable description of the setting. The river itself, though frozen solid, carried a phantom sense of movement, a memory of waters that once flowed. This visual flow created a feeling of continuity, assuring a gentle forward progression even as the pace remained slow and deliberate. The bear did not rush, it simply was, moving through this silent nature. Every so often it would pause, not to rest fully, but to simply observe the tranquil stillness, listening to the almost imperceptible shifts in the environment. A faint crackle of settling ice in the distance, a soft gust of wind brushing over a distant snowdrift. These were the only sounds in the deep quiet. The night deepened, advancing toward its coldest, most profound hours. Yet, within this immense cold and darkness, the bear found a continuous comfort. Its thick white fur provided perfect insulation, creating a warm, personal microclimate beneath the vast, calm night sky. The soft, padded footfalls continued, a low, repetitive sound that was almost hypnotic in its regularity. The bear was a creature perfectly attuned to this environment, its very presence a testament to the enduring peace of the Arctic winter. This slow, predictable journey was a source of great stability. The frozen river led the bear further inland, away from the coast, but it still maintained a gentle connection to the broader landscape. Sometimes the river widened into small frozen lakes, smooth expanses where the moonlight seemed to pool more intensely, creating brilliant patches of silver light. The bear would cross these stretches with the same calm determination, its shadow stretching long and distorted ahead of it, a silent companion in the vastness. It was a journey of simple, repetitive actions, each one contributing to a deep relaxation. The world was a study in monochromatic beauty, shades of white, silver, and pale blue under the soft moonlight. The texture of the snow varied from fine, powdery drifts along the riverbanks to coarser, wind-packed surfaces further out on the tundra. The bear's quiet paws crunched through each, adapting effortlessly, experiencing the subtle sensory details of its environment. It was exploring frozen inlets and bends in the river, following coastal paths that were now buried deep under winter's blanket, but whose forms were still echoed by the ancient waterways. As the night continued its measured progression, the air remained remarkably still, offering no strong winds to disturb the profound quietness. This gentle night ambiance enveloped the bear, creating a cocoon of comfort. The long frozen river pathway, reflecting moonlight like a silver ribbon, continued to guide the bear through the peaceful wilderness. Its journey, unhurried and consistent, mirrored the slow turning of the earth and the steady passage of the Arctic night. There was a sense of completion in each step, a quiet satisfaction in the forward movement, leading slowly but surely into the deepest part of the winter night, promising continued rest and serenity. Chapter 10. The long silver ribbon of the frozen river pathway had carried the polar bear further into the vast, slumbering expanse. The journey had been a slow, continuous unfolding of the Arctic night, each hour bringing a subtle shift in the landscape, a new texture to the silence. Now, as the deepest part of the night settled across the world, a new series of forms began to emerge from the surrounding darkness. It was midnight, and the bear was slowly approaching a truly remarkable region. Ahead, the familiar flat plains gave way to something sculpted and grand. Great curved structures of ice rose from the frozen ground, standing like silent gateways or the elegant arches of an ancient uninhabited cathedral. These were naturally formed ice arches, born from years of immense pressure and the ceaseless sculpting touch of winter storms. They had been shaped over countless seasons, each passing wind and snowfall adding to their unique, graceful forms. The moonlight, now high and full, cast long, shifting moon shadows that danced with the slightest shift of the bear's head. The bear padded across ice with a quiet, unhurried pace, its sturdy limbs carrying it into this silent gallery. The air here felt crisp and still. The sounds of the distant wind seemed to fade into a soft, almost imperceptible hum. This was a place of profound stillness, where the vast Arctic night felt close and encompassing. The bear's thick white fur blended seamlessly with the moonlit snow and ice, a moving part of the tranquil landscape. It moved slowly, exploring frozen inlets and narrow passages that wove between the towering arches. Some of these structures soared high above, their translucent surfaces glowing with an ethereal light where the moonlight caught them just so. Others formed more intimate alcoves, quiet nooks where the shadows pooled deeply, offering a different kind of calm. The bear's soft breath swirled in the cold air, a gentle mist that vanished almost as soon as it appeared, adding to the silent nature of its presence. Each arch presented a unique texture. Some were smooth and polished, worn by the passage of time and elements, reflecting the calm night sky like dark mirrors. Others were rough and layered, showing the intricate history of their formation, a frozen record of countless snowfalls and thaws. The bear's quiet paws crunching softly on the firm snow and ice was the only consistent sound, a steady, comforting rhythm in the otherwise silent wilderness. It was a sound that spoke of continuous, peaceful movement through a world entirely at rest. The focus of this journey had gently shifted from steady progression to quiet observation. There was no urgency, only the patient passage of time beneath the Arctic sky. The bear paused, its gaze lifting to trace the elegant curve of a particularly large arch, imagining the immense forces that had bent and shaped the solid ice into such delicate, almost impossibly thin forms. It felt a sense of natural comfort in these ancient formations, a deep connection to the enduring power of the land. This quiet exploration offered a deep relaxation, a sense of safety within the vast frozen landscape. The moon hung like a pearl overhead, its soft light illuminating the world in shades of silver and muted blue. The air was clear and still, allowing the stars to shine with an intense, unblinking brilliance, framing the ice arches with tiny points of light. The gentle night ambience was a blanket of peace, inviting the bear to simply be, to absorb the quietude of this unique space. The bear continued its slow amble, navigating the labyrinthine passages formed by the arches. Each turn revealed a new vista, a different interplay of light and shadow, a fresh perspective on the intricate beauty of the frozen gallery. It was a truly relaxing sleep story, filled with peace and stillness, where the bear's journey became a meditation on the serene beauty of the Arctic winter. There was no need for haste. The hours simply drifted by, each moment filled with the quiet comfort of being present in this remarkable place. The bear moved, not with a destination in mind, but with an appreciation for the journey itself, for the subtle wonders revealed with every step. The tranquil atmosphere settled around it, a promise of continued calm as the night slowly began its long, unhurried arc towards dawn. Chapter 11. The bear had passed through the silent gateways of the ice arches, leaving their intricate frozen patterns behind in the deep night. A subtle change began to whisper through the vast wilderness. The crisp clarity of the air, which had allowed the stars to shine with such intensity, softened imperceptibly. Above the distant horizons, a delicate veil of thin clouds had begun to gather, almost unnoticed at first, like the merest wisp of a dream across the calm night sky. These new clouds, faint and translucent, spread slowly, gradually dimming the moon's bright glow into a diffused luminescence. The stark shadows, once so sharply defined by the moonlight, grew softer, their edges blurring into a gentle haze. A new kind of quietness settled over the expansive Arctic landscape, deeper and more profound than the stillness that had come before. It was a stillness that seemed to absorb all existing sound, a truly silent nature unfolding around the lone traveler. The air grew stiller, losing the faint, echoing whispers of the wind that often drifted across the plains. Then, from the vast overhead expanse, the first flakes began their slow descent. They were not driven by strong gusts, but seemed to float down with an exquisite leisure, tiny specks of white against the muted backdrop of the sky. Each flake was a delicate creation, unique and perfect, spiraling earthward without hurry. They settled first on the broad, flat surfaces of the ice formations that dotted the sheltered expanse, landing with an almost imperceptible touch. Then they adorned the existing snow, adding a fresh, soft layer to the already pristine white. The polar bear continued its steady wandering, its quiet paws crunching the older, firmer snow beneath a new, airy carpet. Its thick white fur, already a masterpiece of insulation, began to gather these arriving flakes. They nestled within the dense layers, clinging gently, making the bear's form appear even more integrated with the falling winter landscape. It moved without haste, a presence of profound calm amidst the silent, continuous descent. The world around it was slowly, gently transformed. The rugged edges of the ice structures became rounded, their sharp angles softened by a pristine white dusting. Every tiny crevice and every exposed curve received its share of the ethereal covering. This sheltered expanse truly became a snowfall garden, a place of quiet beauty. The delicate snow veiled the scattered ice formations, turning them into soft sculptural shapes. The air itself seemed to glow with a muted brightness, a gentle luminescence born of countless tiny crystals reflecting the diminished moonlight. The atmosphere was one of deep relaxation, a sense of quietude that permeated every single moment. The bear's movements were unhurried, a series of deliberate steps across this newly quieted world. It lifted each sturdy limb with a methodical grace, placing its padded paws down into the soft, yielding snow. The soft breath swirling from its nostrils created ephemeral clouds in the cold, still air, briefly visible against the falling flakes before they vanished. There was a rhythm to the quiet winter display, a serene cadence of flakes falling, settling, and accumulating. The bear would sometimes pause, its great head held level, listening to the almost inaudible sounds of the snow making its gentle contact with the earth. There was no harshness in this contact, only a soft whisper, a hushed caress. This was the true sound of winter, a peaceful nature ambiance that invited a tranquil repose. The deep relaxation fostered by this quiet falling snow was palpable. The landscape, once starkly defined by moonlight, now blurred at its edges, softened into a dreamlike vision. The bear found a new kind of comfort in this changing environment, a secure feeling born of predictability and stability. It was a safe feeling, a blanket of softness spread over the entire world. The journey continued, but it was a journey through a living, breathing stillness, a slow, gentle progression across a land being remade flake by delicate flake. Each settling particle added to the overall sense of peace. The bear's keen senses, always attuned to its surroundings, perceived the minute changes in texture underfoot, the increased dampness in the air, the way the distant frozen horizons now seemed even more distant, veiled by the constant soft flurry. Its powerful body moved with an innate efficiency, conserving energy, moving steadily but without any sense of urgency. The thick white fur on its back caught and held the snow, forming a natural camouflage that made it seem a part of the very landscape it traversed. The cold, which had been sharp and clear, now felt softened, its edges rounded by the insulating blanket of falling snow. The world became a place of almost pure sensation, of visual softness and auditory quiet. The subtle glow from the high, thin clouds made the ground appear brighter, a muted white canvas upon which the bear continued its unhurried passage. It was a peaceful mind that wandered through such a scene, a mind focused purely on the immediate, tangible present. The snowfall continued with unwavering consistency, a steady, calm presence in the depths of the Arctic night. It was a gentle night ambiance, soothing and profoundly restful. The bear, exploring frozen inlets now being softly filled and contoured by snow, seemed to embody the very stillness of its surroundings. There was no need for quick movements, no urgency in this quiet space. Only the continuous, quiet passage through a world made new by softness. The fine particles of snow dusted its whiskers, settled on its powerful shoulders, and adorned the subtle ripples of its thick white fur. It was a visual poetry of white on white, a symphony of calm. The bear occasionally shook its head, dislodging a light dusting, only for new flakes to settle in their place, a constant, gentle renewal. This was the essence of the snowfall garden, a place of slow, deliberate transformation. The sense of comfort was profound. The air felt cleaner, fresher, imbued with the pure essence of winter. The very act of watching the snow fall and of walking through it seemed to foster deep relaxation, a release of any lingering tension. The bear was completely at one with this element, a part of the living, breathing environment nestled within its gentle embrace. This quiet journey through the falling snow continued for a long, unmeasured time. The world remained muted and exquisitely soft, a testament to the power of delicate change. The snowfall offered a kind of peaceful reassurance, a steady, predictable rhythm in the vastness of the polar night. It was a scene designed for rest, for the quiet settling of all things, allowing the mind to drift toward peaceful slumber, enveloped in the quiet sounds of nature and the steady, comforting presence of the bear. The thick white fur became an extension of the newly blanketed ground, a perfect blend of creature and environment, fostering a true sense of stability. The air itself, filled with countless descending crystals, created a soft, almost imperceptible murmur, a lullaby woven by the winter night. This tranquil expanse, now a canvas of ongoing snowfall, continued to hold the bear in its gentle, quiet embrace, preparing the way for whatever subtle changes the passing hours might bring. Chapter 12. As the night deepened its quiet embrace, the delicate snowfall began to ease, its soft descent slowing to an almost imperceptible flutter. The world, which had been gently veiled in fresh, bright flakes, now seemed to open slightly, though still held within a profound sense of calm. The polar bear, with its steady and unhurried rhythm, found itself ascending a gradual incline, its powerful yet quiet paws crunching softly on the newly settled snow. This gentle slope led to a broad elevated plateau, a vast expanse stretching under the dimming moonlight. The air here felt subtly different, a quiet clarity returning as the final few snowflakes dissolved into the vast stillness. High above, thin clouds had begun to drift, moving with a languid grace across the expansive dome of the sky. These cloud veils, like immense ethereal blankets, softened the direct glow of the distant moon. Its light, once a crisp silver, now filtered through the translucent layers, diffused into a gentler, more diffuse radiance that spread evenly across the snow-covered plateau. The stars, which had earlier shone with sharp, sparkling clarity, also became muted, their innumerable pinpricks of light dimming slightly behind the wispy formations. This change created a truly gentler atmosphere, a soft transition that spoke of deep rest and slumber. The bear continued its slow, deliberate journey, its thick white fur blending almost perfectly with the pale, luminous landscape. Each step was a quiet reassurance, a testament to the steady pace of life in this silent wilderness. The plateau offered an unhindered view towards the vast frozen horizons, though these were currently softened by the drifting clouds. The absence of direct, sharp light meant that shadows were not stark, but rather they blurred into delicate washes of gray and blue, adding to the serene and peaceful mind of the Arctic night. There was no urgency in the bear's movements, only a continuous, unhurried progression, guided by an ancient instinct towards the next phase of its enduring wandering. Subtle changes in temperature began to signal the slow turning of the night. The air, while still profoundly cold, held a quiet crispness that hinted at something more. A very faint shift in the wind's whisper, barely discernible, carried with it the silent message of an approaching dawn. The bear's soft breath, usually visible as a gentle plume in the biting air, now seemed almost imperceptible, a fleeting mist that vanished quickly, blending with the vast, still atmosphere. It moved with a quiet dignity, its presence a calm anchor in the immense, tranquil scene. As it ambled across the tundra-like surface of the plateau, the bear paused occasionally, raising its head to take in the quiet nuances of the changing sky. Its senses, finely attuned to the delicate shifts of its environment, registered the faint lightning in the eastern direction, even behind the cloud veils. It was not a visible brightening, but rather a perceived lessening of the deepest dark, a subtle infusion of nascent light into the vast canvas of the night. This was the slowest of mysteries, a soft unfolding that maintained the low stimulation essential for peaceful rest. The high clouds continued their quiet, endless drift, forming intricate, ever-changing patterns that obscured and then revealed faint glimpses of the softened moon. This gentle interplay of light and shadow across the immense plateau created a continuously moving, yet completely soothing, visual experience. The ground beneath the bear's quiet paws was firm, offering a steady and stable path across the expanse. The comfort of predictable terrain underfoot added to the overall feeling of security and peace. The long journey through the night felt like a rhythmic, comforting song, each chapter a new verse of gentle exploration. The bear felt the profound stillness of the hour, a deep relaxation settling over the entire landscape. The world seemed to hold its breath in anticipation of the sun's distant return, yet it did so without any hint of excitement or rush. This was the very core of Arctic night, a boundless patience that allowed all things to unfold at their own quiet pace. The soft sounds of the night, perhaps the distant sigh of the wind or the settling of ice, were muffled by the clouds overhead, contributing to an even deeper sense of quiet. Its gaze, when it settled on the distant frozen horizons, was one of quiet observation. There was no searching, no hurried scanning, but simply a gentle witnessing of the vast, unchanging expanse. The plateau, with its elevated vantage point, offered a panoramic view, allowing the bear to understand its place within this immense, peaceful wilderness. The subtle changes in visibility meant that the far-off contours of the land seemed to ripple and soften, receding into the gentle haze created by the high clouds. This made the landscape feel boundless, yet entirely safe and familiar. The steady rhythm of the bear's walk continued, a silent testament to its strength and resilience within this beautiful, stark environment. It was padding across ice that was now dusted with a final, fine layer of snow, making its passage even quieter. The feeling of comfort was pervasive, radiating from the very core of the Arctic night. This was a time for calm breathing, for deep relaxation, as the bear journeyed slowly and surely through the pre-dawn stillness. The journey was a continuous flow, each moment blending seamlessly into the next, like a long, gentle dream. The atmosphere on this elevated plateau was one of profound serenity. The cloud veils, while dimming the celestial lights, also seemed to create a protective canopy, holding the quiet ambience close to the frozen surface. The thought of rest, though not immediate, lingered like a soft promise on the edge of the morning. For now, the bear's purpose was simply to move, to continue its quiet exploration as the night subtly transformed. The subtle shifts in the air currents, the barely perceptible scent of the sea carried on the gentle wind. All these small details wove together to form a rich, yet incredibly soft tapestry of sensory experience. The passage of time felt elongated, stretched out into a peaceful eternity on this high, silent ground. Each minute drifted by like one of the wispy clouds overhead, unhurried and full of a quiet grace. The bear was a creature of this vast, still forest of ice, a silent part of its grand, slow rhythm. Its thick white fur, a natural cloak against the persistent cold, provided constant comfort, a personal warmth against the vastness of the frozen world. The stillness was not empty, but full of the quiet presence of life, enduring and calm. And so the polar bear continued its deliberate path across the plateau, its form a soft silhouette against the muted sky. It was watching frozen horizons, not for any immediate purpose, but simply to absorb the silent changes, the gradual approach of a new day. The cloud veils before dawn draped the world in a tranquil beauty, preserving the deep quiet, fostering a sense of safety and a profound, comforting stability. The journey was nearing a turning point, a slow transition from the deepest slumber of night into the soft awakening of morning, all unfolding with a gentle, enduring peace. Chapter 13. From the elevated plateau where the veil of clouds had begun to thin and recede, the great polar bear continued its patient traverse. Its powerful limbs carried it forward with a rhythmic ease across the compacted snow, each quiet paw crunching softly with a familiar sound that was almost absorbed by the vastness of the landscape. The subtle shifts in the air, the easing of the light snowfall from earlier, had ushered in a new phase of the long Arctic night. Now, a barely perceptible ascent led the bear to a new vantage point, a distant eastern overlook. This rise in the frozen terrain offered an unobstructed view toward the far edge of the world, and there a change was slowly unfurling. The deepest indigo of the night sky, still dominant directly overhead, began to yield its absolute reign on the horizon. Far beyond the undulating lines of the frozen landscape, where the flat plains met the sky, a faint silver sheen materialized. It was not a sudden burst, nor a dramatic reveal, but rather a shy, soft hint, a gentle whisper of approaching dawn. This pale glow, almost ethereal in its quiet emergence, seemed to seep into the darkness, chasing away the deepest shadows with a delicate touch. The bear paused, its massive form settled against the subtle incline of the overlook. Its gaze, steady and calm, was drawn to this nascent luminescence. Its soft breath swirled in the crisp air, momentarily visible before dissipating into the boundless stillness. The air itself felt different here, carrying the faint, clean scent of the coming day. The profound quiet of the wilderness deepened around it, broken only by the almost imperceptible whisper of the wind across the snow-covered expanse, a sound so subtle it felt woven into the very fabric of the silence. This gradual return of light was a spectacle of exquisite slowness. The silver hint on the horizon expanded, bleeding softly upward into the pre-dawn blues, transforming them into a gradient of pearlescent grays and the most delicate lavender. The frozen landscape, which had been rendered in stark contrast by moonlight and aurora, now began to take on a softened, almost watercolor quality. Distant snowdrifts, previously indistinct, gained a gentle contour, their curves catching the faint, spreading luminosity. The bear remained settled, observing this patient transformation. There was a quiet anticipation in its posture, a deep recognition of the timeless cycle. Below, the immense frozen waters, indistinguishable from the land in the deep night, now began to reveal their presence through a faint, almost glassy reflection of the growing light. The bear was gazing over waters, or what would become open waters in the warmer months, now a solid, unmoving plain of ice stretching toward the horizon. This vast expanse mirrored the pale sky above, doubling the effect of the slowly awakening world. The feeling of stability permeated the scene, a sense of enduring peace that seemed to cradle the bear in its quiet solitude. Each passing moment brought a further diffusion of the light, an incredibly slow transformation of colors across the snow and sky. The edges of distant ice formations, previously dark silhouettes, began to define themselves with a soft, silvery outline. The scene unfolded with a comforting predictability, preserving the restful rhythm of the Arctic night even as it prepared to welcome the day. The cold air, while still sharp, no longer held the same biting intensity as in the deepest hours before midnight. A subtle softening, a gentle promise began to pervade everything. The bear continued its rest, its body a silhouette against the brightening eastern sky. There was no urgency in its movements, only a deep, abiding presence in the moment. It was resting after wandering through many hours of quiet exploration, its journey a steady, peaceful progression through the silent nature of the Arctic. The entire environment seemed to breathe with it, a collective, slow inhalation as the world prepared for the sun's reappearance. The distant horizon, once an impenetrable line of darkness, now pulsed with a soft, silver energy, a steady beacon guiding the narrative toward the full light of morning. The profound stillness of this pre-dawn moment offered a deep sense of comfort. The bear's patient watch over the frozen horizons fostered a feeling of safety in the immense, peaceful wilderness. The changing light cast new, yet always soft patterns across the snow, revealing textures that had been hidden by the long night. The world was slowly, gently, waking, The quiet transition from darkness to light unfolded with an exquisite grace, promising the continuity of life in the frozen expanse. The bear remained, a calm, unwavering presence, ready for the gentle awakening that was now only moments away. The horizon was now clearly defined by the emerging light, no longer just a faint hint, but a definite line, signifying the end of the long watch and the natural progression towards a new day, stable and serene. Chapter 14. The pale ethereal glow that had merely hinted at the horizon now began its slow, deliberate spread across the immense, flat expanse before the polar bear. This new landscape was a vast, unbroken, frost-covered flatland stretching far into the distance, a world painted in countless shades of silver and pearl. The morning light, no longer just a distant promise, was now actively weaving its way across the crystalline surfaces, awakening dormant patterns and revealing hidden depths in the frozen tableau. The bear began to move once more, its quiet paws crunching with a soft, rhythmic sound against the delicate frost. Each step was a gentle whisper against the solid ground, the only discernible sound in the vast, silent morning. As it traversed the frost-covered flatland, the growing light illuminated intricate crystal patterns that had been invisible in the deeper night. These were not just uniform sheets of ice, but complex tapestries of frozen artistry, where each individual crystal caught and refracted the spreading light. Some resembled tiny feathered ferns etched onto the surface, while others formed delicate spiky rosettes clinging to every undulation of the ground. The air remained calm and still, holding the lingering chill of the deep night, yet infused with the fresh promise of dawn. The soft breath swirling from the bear's nostrils created fleeting wisps in the cold air, dissolving almost immediately into the pervasive stillness. Its thick white fur, perfectly suited for this peaceful wilderness, seemed to absorb the subtle shifts in light, from a dull gray to a faint silver, then to a warmer, more vibrant white as the sun climbed further unseen. The journey across this immense flatland was a continuation of its steady journey, a slowly unfolding progression through the calm Arctic morning. There was no urgency in its padding across ice, only a patient observational stride. The focus was on the details now emerging from the vastness. Subtle shadows began to form around the raised edges of the frost, deepening the perception of texture and shape. A tiny ridge, previously indistinguishable, now stood out, casting a faint, elongated shadow that followed the bear as it passed. Distant features previously lost in the pre-dawn gloom slowly began emerging from the horizon. What might have been a vague, dark line now resolved into the rounded tops of ice hummocks, far away, almost like a sleeping giants on the edge of the world. Further still, a faint, almost imperceptible shimmer suggested the presence of frozen horizons reflecting the strengthening light. The peaceful mind of the bear seemed to register each new visual, each unfolding detail without haste or alarm. This quiet observation offered a profound sense of stress relief, a natural connection to the gradual unfolding of its environment. The stillness of the frost-covered flatland was absolute, broken only by the gentle crunching of paws and the soft sighs of the wind, which now carried only the faintest suggestion of movement. The flat, open space allowed the light to spread unhindered, a vast canvas for the sun's slowly developing masterpiece. The sky above began to transition through soft blues and faint lavenders, a silent testament to the advancing morning. The bear would occasionally lift its head, gazing over waters that might lie hidden beyond the visible frozen horizons, or simply absorbing the quiet and expansive beauty of the sky. This vast plain, so different from the sculpted snow dunes or the shadowed ice mounds of earlier hours, presented a new kind of comfort. It was the comfort of openness, of unimpeded sightlines, where nothing felt hidden or abrupt. The very predictability of the landscape's gradual revelation was inherently calming. The light continued to strengthen, growing from a soft, almost diffused glow to a clearer, more defined radiance. Each tiny ice crystal, once just a hint of sparkle, now truly sparkled under the growing morning light, turning the entire plain into a field of diamonds. The bear's movements remained calm and deliberate, It was simply continuing its journey, its powerful yet gentle body a picture of serene endurance. The increasing visibility allowed for a broader understanding of its surroundings, a sense of quiet mastery over the peaceful environment. It was not resting on snowdrifts or nestling into snow at this moment, but actively crossing icy plains, experiencing the world anew with each step in the slowly brightening day. As the sun began to lift itself more fully, though still hidden by the immediate curve of the earth, the very air seemed to brighten, becoming crisper and clearer. The feeling of safety was palpable in this wide open space, bathed in such tranquil light. The stillness of the morning lent itself to deep relaxation, a natural state in this peaceful Arctic world. The bear was a creature of its environment, moving with its rhythms, always calm, always patient. The subtle whispers across the frost flats were merely the soft sounds of the world awakening, a natural lullaby to a peaceful mind. The promise of brighter light lay just ahead, beyond the quiet expanse of the shimmering frost. The pale, ethereal glow that had merely hinted at the horizon now began its slow, deliberate spread across the immense, flat expanse before the polar bear. This new landscape was a vast, unbroken, frost-covered flatland stretching far into the distance, a world painted in countless shades of silver and pearl. The morning light, no longer just a distant promise, was now actively weaving its way across the crystalline surfaces, awakening dormant patterns and revealing hidden depths in the frozen tableau. The bear began to move once more, its quiet paws crunching with a soft, rhythmic sound against the delicate frost. Each step was a gentle whisper against the solid ground, the only discernible sound in the vast, silent morning. As it traversed the frost-covered flatland, the growing morning light illuminated intricate crystal patterns that had been invisible in the deeper night. These were not just uniform sheets of ice, but complex tapestries of frozen artistry, where each individual crystal caught and refracted the spreading light. Some resembled tiny, feathered ferns etched onto the surface, while others formed delicate, spiky rosettes, clinging to every undulation of the ground. The air remained calm and still, holding the lingering chill of the deep night, yet infused with the fresh promise of dawn. The soft breath swirling from the bear's nostrils created fleeting wisps in the cold air, dissolving almost immediately into the pervasive stillness. Its thick white fur, perfectly suited for this peaceful wilderness, seemed to absorb the subtle shifts in light, from a dull gray to a faint silver, then to a warmer, more vibrant white as the sun climbed further unseen. The journey across this immense flatland was a continuation of its steady journey, a slowly unfolding progression through the calm Arctic morning. There was no urgency in its padding across ice, only a patient, observational stride. The focus was on the details now, emerging from the vastness. Subtle shadows began to form around the raised edges of the frost, deepening the perception of texture and shape. A tiny ridge, previously indistinguishable, now stood out, casting a faint, elongated shadow that followed the bear as it passed. Distant features emerging from the horizon, previously lost in the pre-dawn gloom, slowly began to resolve. What might have been a vague, dark line now softened into the rounded tops of ice hummocks, far away, almost like sleeping giants on the edge of the world. Further still, a faint, almost imperceptible shimmer suggested the presence of frozen horizons, reflecting the strengthening light. The peaceful mind of the bear seemed to register each new visual, each unfolding detail without haste or alarm. This quiet observation offered a profound sense of stress relief, a natural connection to the gradual unfolding of its environment. The stillness of the frost-covered flatland was absolute, broken only by the gentle crunching of paws and the soft sighs of the wind, which now carried only the faintest suggestion of movement. The flat, open space allowed the light to spread unhindered, a vast canvas for the sun's slowly developing masterpiece. The sky above began to transition through soft blues and faint lavenders, a silent testament to the advancing morning. The bear would occasionally lift its head, gazing over waters that might lie hidden beyond the visible frozen horizons, or simply absorbing the quiet, expansive beauty of the sky. This vast plain, so different from the sculpted snow dunes or the shadowed ice mounds of earlier hours, presented a new kind of comfort. It was the comfort of openness, of unimpeded sightlines where nothing felt hidden or abrupt. The very predictability of the landscape's gradual revelation was inherently calming. The light continued to strengthen, growing from a soft, almost diffused glow to a clearer, more defined radiance. Each tiny ice crystal, once just a hint of sparkle, now truly sparkled under the growing morning light, turning the entire plain into a field of diamonds. The bear's movements remained calm and deliberate. It was simply continuing its journey, its powerful yet gentle body a picture of serene endurance. The increasing visibility allowed for a broader understanding of its surroundings, a sense of quiet mastery over the peaceful environment. It was not resting on snowdrifts or nestling into snow at this moment, but actively crossing icy plains, experiencing the world anew with each step in the slowly brightening day. As the sun began to lift itself more fully, though still hidden by the immediate curve of the earth, the very air seemed to brighten, becoming crisper and clearer. The feeling of safety was palpable in this wide open space, bathed in such tranquil light. The stillness of the morning lent itself to deep relaxation, a natural state in this peaceful Arctic world. The bear was a creature of its environment, moving with its rhythms, always calm, always patient. The subtle whispers across the frost flats were merely the soft sounds of the world awakening, a natural lullaby to a peaceful mind. The promise of brighter light lay just ahead, beyond the quiet expanse of the shimmering frost. Chapter 15. The pale light from the eastern horizon had steadily strengthened, transforming the world from deep indigo to softest silver. Now, as the polar bear continued its patient journey, a more profound change began to unfold across the vast expanse. It was a change of color, a gentle wash that seemed to paint the very air itself. The bear had been ambling across tundra and frosty plains for many hours, its quiet paws crunching the last remnants of the night's crisp frost. Each step was deliberate, a rhythm of consistent movement over the varied terrain. Before it now rose a truly immense offshore ice shelf. This vast formation, sculpted by ancient forces and countless seasons of freeze and thaw, towered upward, its smooth sweeping surfaces catching the very first direct rays of the sun. Slowly, with an almost imperceptible grace, the sunrise began painting the winter landscape. It was not a sudden burst, but a gradual infusion of delicate colors that spread outward from the low-lying sun. Across the immense towering ice shelf, these light rays began to glow. They were not harsh or dazzling, but wonderfully soft, tinged with hues of rose and a muted, comforting gold. These rosy reflections illuminated the frozen world, casting a warm visual palette over the endless white. The stark clarity of the pre-dawn had given way to a richer, more ethereal glow. Every crystalline facet of the ice, every subtle ripple in the snowdrifts clinging to the shelf's base, caught a whisper of this rose light. The bear's thick white fur, which had absorbed the blue-gray tones of the long night, now seemed to drink in these new, tender shades. It blended seamlessly with the evolving landscape, a living part of the quiet, changing scene. A deep relaxation settled over the already peaceful wilderness as the light slowly spread. The air, still carrying the persistent Arctic cold, felt softened by the visual warmth that emanated from the glowing ice. This comforting contrast was a serene experience, a gentle reassurance in the vast, still environment. The bear reached the edge of the ice shelf, its sturdy limbs carrying it with accustomed ease. It paused here, a large, calm presence against the backdrop of the rose-hued ice. From this elevated position, it watched distant waves. These were not crashing, tumultuous waves, but gentle undulations in the sea ice far below, subtle movements that spoke of the immense living ocean beneath the frozen surface. These quiet motions were almost imperceptible, a slow breathing of the world itself. Close by, majestic icebergs, ancient wanderers of the sea, lay settled. Their colossal forms, once stark white, now shimmered with the same soft pink tones, appearing less formidable and more inviting under the tender light. The bear found a comfortable spot near one of these grand, silent sentinels, choosing a place where a gentle curve of snow offered a natural alcove. Here, it began settling beside icebergs, a picture of ultimate peace and stability. Its soft breath swirled in the crisp morning air, a visible mist that dissolved almost immediately, a testament to the lingering chill. Yet, surrounded by the rose light and the quiet beauty of the breaking dawn, there was an unmistakable feeling of comfort. This was a moment for rest, a time to simply exist within the serene transformation of the day. The gentle movements of light across the ice surfaces continued their soothing visual progression into the morning hours. Shadows, once long and sharp under the moon, were now shorter, softer, and infused with the subtle pink and orange of the new day. They moved slowly, crawling across the vastness of the shelf as the sun continued its gentle ascent. The silent nature of the Arctic embraced the bear, promoting a profound sense of deep relaxation. There was no urgency, no need for haste. The world around seemed to encourage this stillness, this quiet contemplation. The bear was enveloped in the quiet beauty, its senses absorbing the peaceful changes. The vast open sky above was now a canvas of soft blues and creams, a perfect backdrop to the rosy foreground. This feeling of safety was palpable, a quiet certainty in the heart of the wild. The experience of the morning light spreading, of the world slowly revealing its colors, brought a sense of completion to the long night's wandering. Every detail, from the way light caught a tiny frost crystal to the expansive glow on the distant ice, contributed to a peaceful mind. It was a scene of perfect stability, a slow, unhurried progression that invited quietude. The bear rested, its gaze occasionally drifting over the expansive waters, then back to the intricate patterns of light and shadow on the ice shelf. This period of comfort was a natural pause, allowing the subtle energy of the morning to slowly infuse the calm surroundings, preparing for the next stretch of the journey, which promised wider views from drifted cliffs. Chapter 16. The morning sun, now fully emerged from the distant eastern edge, cast a quiet, soft brilliance across the expansive Arctic. The polar bear had moved with its customary steady rhythm from the glowing ice shelf, gradually ascending a series of snow-covered ice cliffs that rose gently above the vast frozen expanse of Hudson Bay. These elevated formations, sculpted over countless seasons by persistent winds and the slow, immense pressures of winter storms, offered a new perspective on the boundless landscape. Each curve and ripple in the cliff face was softened by layers of fresh, untouched snow, presenting a pristine, clean surface that seemed to absorb any harshness from the crisp air. As the bear padded across these higher reaches, its thick white fur blended seamlessly with the pale, silent environment. The air, imbued with the clear clarity of morning, held a gentle coolness that invigorated without disturbing the profound stillness. This elevation provided sweeping, wider views of Hudson Bay's frozen reaches, stretching far beyond the immediate horizon. The ice fields below, a tapestry of white and pale blue, stretched outward, sparkling faintly under the strengthening light. Tiny ice crystals on the snow surfaces caught the soft sunlight, scattering a muted, tranquil shimmer across the otherwise uniform landscape. Long shadows began to stretch out from every ridge and undulation along the cliffs, painting the snow with deeper, serene shades of indigo and violet. These quiet, slow-moving shadows traced the bear's path with a sense of deliberate grace, mirroring its unhurried progress. The bear continued its journey calmly, its large, quiet paws crunching softly with each step upon the compacted snow. There was no urgency in its movements, only a deep, inherent commitment to the relaxed pace that had defined its entire long passage through the Arctic night and into this bright, peaceful morning. Occasionally, the bear would pause, its gaze sweeping across the immense frozen horizons. Its soft breath swirling gently in the crisp morning air formed fleeting clouds of mist, a steady, comforting presence in the serene environment. This calm breathing was almost imperceptible against the backdrop of the vast, quiet wilderness, contributing to a sense of profound, deep relaxation, The feeling of safety was palpable in this tranquil solitude, where only the vastness of nature surrounded it. The subtle sounds of the Arctic morning carried faintly on the air, perhaps the distant sigh of the wind or the settling of ice far below, but these were whispers against the backdrop of immense silence. The bear's journey along these drifted cliffs felt like a timeless exploration, a slow and stable progression through a world that was both immense and intimately detailed. It was crossing icy plains, yet doing so from an elevated vantage point, allowing for an even broader appreciation of the endless frozen stretches. The sunlight, though brighter than the soft rose tones of dawn, still held a gentle quality, diffused perhaps by the lingering moisture in the air from the morning's first light. It illuminated the textured surfaces of the snowdrifts that clung to the cliff faces, highlighting their smooth, wind-sculpted forms. This environment, quiet and vast, fostered a gentle, almost sleepy feeling in the vast Arctic, a natural calm that encouraged a peaceful mind. Each step along the cliffs was a continuation of the night's journey, a steady unfolding of time and landscape. The bear was not searching for anything specific in this moment. It was simply being, moving, existing within the rhythm of the Arctic day. The consistent rhythmic motion of its body, the slow sway of its head, and the gentle placement of its paws created a meditative experience. It was a picture of perfect comfort, moving through a world that felt utterly stable and secure. The expansive views from the cliffs allowed the bear to survey the incredible distances it had traversed since the amber twilight of the previous evening. The memory of the northern lights drifting, the silent ice channels and the midnight ice arches all seemed to fade into the quiet clarity of this new day. Only the immediate presence of the sunlit cliffs and the frozen bay below held its attention, a gentle reminder of the continuous flow of its life. The stillness was complete, interrupted only by the most subtle shifts in light and shadow and the bear's calm, measured steps. The peaceful journey continued, carrying the bear toward what lay further along the bright, snow-covered landscape. Chapter 17. The sun had steadily risen, pulling itself fully above the eastern horizon, and now bathed the immense Arctic landscape in its unwavering, crisp winter light. The gentle slopes of the drifted cliffs from which the bear had descended now receded softly behind it. Ahead, the terrain opened into a new, expansive scene, a broad, gently sloping terrace of compact snow, stretched wide under the clear morning sky. This vast, pristine surface was a canvas of pure white, sculpted by countless winters into subtle undulations. The sunlight, no longer merely hinting at dawn, streamed down in brilliant, clear rays, illuminating every contour with remarkable intensity. It reflected spectacularly from every surface, creating a dazzling display of light that seemed to make the snow itself glow from within. Each tiny ice crystal caught in the sun's embrace sparkled with an almost silent energy, contributing to the widespread shimmering tapestry. The air felt uniquely fresh, clean, and invigorated by this vibrant morning illumination. The polar bear, its thick white fur blending seamlessly with the radiant snow, padded across the ice of the terrace with a familiar, unhurried rhythm. Its quiet paws crunched softly through the densely packed snow, each step deliberate and measured. There was no urgency in its movements, only a steady, calm progression across this bright expanse. The stillness of the vast environment seemed to cradle its journey, providing a profound sense of quiet comfort. A soft breeze, almost imperceptible, stirred the topmost layer of fine snow. Tiny, ethereal snow grains lifted and drifted in lazy spirals, dancing momentarily in the brilliant light before settling back down onto the pristine surface. This subtle daytime activity was a gentle whisper in the vast, peaceful wilderness, a reminder of the quiet animation that existed even in this frozen world. The bear paused, its dark eyes gazing across the panorama, perhaps observing these delicate shifts in the snowy landscape, its soft breath swirling gently in the crisp air. Above, high clouds, distant and ethereal, drifted slowly across the pale blue expanse of the calm morning sky. They moved with a languid grace, their forms subtly changing like slow-motion paintings against the clear brightness. The bear lifted its head, taking in the immense sky and the slow, peaceful dance of the clouds. It found a spot where the snow had accumulated into a smooth, inviting drift, perfectly rounded by the wind. Here, it decided to embrace a moment of true rest. With a deep sense of contentment, the bear slowly lowered its great weight onto the resilient snowdrift. Its body settled with a quiet sigh into the comforting contours of the mound, nestling into the snow. The compact surface provided a firm yet yielding support, a perfect place for a brief pause after its long night of wandering. The feeling of safety was enveloping, surrounded by the wide open expanse and the steady, comforting presence of the sun. Stretching its sturdy limbs gently, the bear observed the intricate patterns of light and shadow playing across the snow. The brilliant reflections created an ever-changing visual texture, a slow, mesmerizing show. It lingered in this spot, not yet ready for a deep sleep, but simply resting after wandering, allowing the morning's quiet energy to replenish its spirit. The profound stillness of the terrace was a soothing balm, broken only by the faintest whispers of the wind, a sound that harmonized perfectly with the overall tranquility. The crisp winter sunlight brought a sense of absolute clarity, making every tiny detail on the snow's surface distinct. The atmosphere felt fresh and undeniably clean, imbued with a quiet, energizing quality. This was not a stimulating burst of energy, but rather a stable, enduring strength drawn from the silent nature itself. The bear found profound comfort in this stable environment, a sense of predictable peace in the vast, open expanse, fostering a truly peaceful mind. Its gaze drifted once more towards the distant frozen horizons, a long, unwavering look across the brilliant white expanse. The world stretched out, wide and unburdened, under the calm sky. The bear's quiet existence on this bright snow terrace was a testament to the enduring rhythm of life in the high north, a continuous flow of rest and gentle movement, always in harmony with the vast, peaceful wilderness. It remained still, absorbing the serene morning, a complete picture of deep relaxation. The time on the terrace passed with the same slow, unhurried pace that had characterized the entire journey. The gentle warmth of the light, though not diminishing the Arctic cold, offered a certain visual comfort, a soft reassurance in the vastness. It was a moment of perfect quiet, a pause in the steady progression, allowing for the peaceful mind to simply be. The bear was completely at ease, settled deeply into its temporary resting spot, enveloped in this safe feeling. Eventually, with a slow, soft stretch of its sturdy limbs, the bear prepared to continue its journey. The rest had been restorative, a brief yet profound period of stillness amidst the gradual morning. It rose with the same calm grace with which it had settled, ready to traverse the next expanse of the frozen world. The bright snow terrace, having offered its quiet refuge, now faded gently behind it as the bear began slowly to move forward. Its journey felt utterly stable, each step a calm continuation of the last, leading ever onward into the serene Arctic day, towards the vast glassy ice fields that awaited its silent passage. Chapter 18. The sun had climbed higher, casting its bright, clear light across the vast Arctic expanse. From the bright snow terrace, where the air had been crisp and invigorating, the polar bear now slowly, gently descended towards a new, shimmering landscape. The compact snow gave way to an entirely different surface, one so smooth it seemed almost liquid, yet utterly frozen and solid beneath its sturdy limbs. It was an expansive field of newly formed ice, flat and wide, stretching far into the distance, a glassy plain born from recent calm freezes. Each step the polar bear took upon this polished surface was deliberate, a slow ballet of weight and balance. Its broad, quiet paws, accustomed to gripping uneven snowdrifts and traversing rough ice ridges, now spread slightly, finding purchase on the remarkably slick sheen. The ice beneath was clear, almost transparent in places, revealing depths of frozen, dark water far below, though this detail remained a mere shadow, an abstract pattern beneath the brighter surface. The world felt open here, unbound by the sculpted forms of snow dunes or the rising cliffs. It was a place of immense visual serenity. Above, the winter sun, now high in the morning sky, poured down an unbroken flood of light. This light did not simply illuminate the ice, it was absorbed and then released, creating a breathtaking mirror. The entire sky, a pale, serene blue, was perfectly reflected in the glassy surface beneath the bear's feet. Clouds, thin and wispy, drifted slowly overhead, and their silent passage was duplicated below, creating a dreamlike scene where earth and sky seemed to merge into one continuous, peaceful canvas. The effect was one of deep relaxation, an almost otherworldly calm that settled over the vast, shimmering expanse. As the bear continued padding across this unique, frozen landscape, its thick white fur, glowing brilliantly in the morning light, seemed to float above the reflections. Its soft breath swirled gently in the still, cool air, a faint mist against the bright clarity. The distant horizon, usually a clear line between ice and sky, here became blurred by the perfect mirror, an optical illusion that made the world feel limitless and wonderfully stable. The journey felt continuous, a seamless gliding motion over the vast, quiet plain. The winter sun, in its steady arc, traced gentle patterns across the ice. Tiny, almost invisible imperfections in the frozen water caught the light, sparkling like scattered diamonds. These subtle glints moved slowly as the bear progressed, creating a delicate dance of light that was neither stimulating nor demanding of attention, but merely existed as a soft, visual rhythm. There was a unique comfort in this uniformity, this wide, unblemished surface that offered unobstructed passage. The air here carried the faint, clean scent of pure ice and distant, salty sea. Even though the bear was traversing these vast sheets, it was, in a way, still lingering by cease, for these fields were the very edge where the ocean's surface had succumbed to winter's deep, peaceful grip. The absence of wind on this smooth, low-lying expanse meant the stillness was profound. Only the softest creaks, barely perceptible, whispered from the ice as it subtly adjusted to the sun's gentle warmth, a calming sound that blended seamlessly with the overall quiet. The bear stretched its sturdy limbs with each stride, its powerful muscles working effortlessly, a testament to its long journey and enduring strength. Yet, there was no sense of strain, only a steady, rhythmic movement. The feeling of safe passage enveloped the scene, a sense of protection offered by the very vastness of the uninterrupted ice. This was a place where movement itself became a form of rest, where the mind could drift as calmly as the reflections in the ice. Every now and then the bear would pause, its head slowly turning, gazing over waters that were now frozen solid, a quiet contemplation of the world it inhabited. Its dark eyes, observant and peaceful, took in the expansive fields, the flawless mirroring, and the distant, indistinct forms of older, more rugged ice formations on the far edges of this glassy domain. This pause was not for alertness, but for a gentle moment of stillness, allowing the full impact of the serene environment to settle. The day had progressed into late morning and the light felt solid, unwavering. The sun's rays, though bright, were without harshness, filtered by the crisp, clean air. It was a light that invited deep relaxation, encouraging one to settle into the calm certainty of the Arctic winter. The bear's journey across these glassy ice fields was a testament to the quiet progression of time, an unhurried advancement through a world painted in shades of white, blue, and silver. The very atmosphere seemed to hum with a low, peaceful energy, an energy derived from the immense, undisturbed natural beauty. The world here was a study in soft contrasts, the smooth ice against the bear's thick, textured fur, the bright reflections against the deeper blues of the sky, the slow, deliberate pace of the bear against the seemingly infinite stillness of the landscape. Each element contributed to a pervasive sense of comfort and balance, as the glassy ice fields began, ever so subtly, to transition into areas where the ice was slightly rougher, etched with older scars from previous thaws and freezes. The bear maintained its steady, unwavering rhythm. The perfect mirror slowly fragmented into a mosaic of smaller reflections, hinting at the changing terrain ahead. Yet the sense of peace remained, an unbroken thread weaving through the unfolding story. The bear's journey continued, carrying it toward the next gentle stage, a continuous, soothing passage through the quiet, vast Arctic morning. Chapter 19. As the morning's brilliance stretched toward its peak, the polar bear continued its deliberate journey, moving away from the glassy expanses of ice. The vast, flat fields had offered a wide, open world, but now a subtle shift in the air signaled a change in the land ahead. A series of low, undulating rises began to appear on the horizon, softly breaking the endless white line. These gentle slopes promised a different kind of terrain, a welcome variation after the long, unvarying plains of polished ice. The air, which had carried a faint, constant breeze across the open fields, seemed to quieten slightly, hinting at a sheltered space. Its strong, sturdy limbs carried it forward, each step measured and slow, a rhythmic padding across the ice that was now giving way to more settled snow. The journey had been long, spanning the silent hours of night and the quiet awakening of dawn. Now, the sun climbed higher, casting a warmer glow upon the landscape, though the air itself remained crisp and cold. The bear's thick white fur shimmered under the direct sunlight, blending almost perfectly with the surroundings, a soft and comforting presence in the immense Arctic wilderness. It followed the curve of the land, an instinct guiding its path toward a place of respite. Before long, the low rises became more defined, curving around in a gentle embrace, forming what appeared to be a natural alcove in the vast snowscape. This was the sunlit snow cove, a secluded haven carved by the patient hand of winter. The snowy rises rose just enough to offer protection, creating a natural bowl that seemed to gather the sunlight and hold it, amplifying its soft radiance. A feeling of immediate calm settled over the scene as the bear approached, its quiet paws crunching lightly on the pristine snow at the entrance. The enclosed setting was a welcome sight after the extended travel through varied Arctic environments. Within the cove, the wind's soft sighing, usually a constant presence, was significantly muted, reduced to the gentlest of whispers that barely stirred the surface of the snow. Sunlight pooled in the center of the cove, reflecting off every surface with a brilliant yet gentle luminescence. The effect was one of profound tranquility, a space where the world outside seemed to recede, leaving only a deep and soothing stillness. The bear slowly entered the heart of this peaceful sanctuary, its movements unhurried and full of quiet appreciation. It found a perfect spot, sheltered from any lingering breeze where the sun's rays seemed to penetrate deepest into the snow. The bear lowered its large frame, settling into snow that had gathered in soft drifts, forming a natural bed. Its body relaxed, unwinding from the long hours of padding across ice and wandering snowy shores. A sense of contentment spread through it, a quiet understanding of this moment of rest. The very act of settling, of finding this perfect haven, brought with it a profound sense of comfort. Its soft breath swirled gently in the still air, a rhythmic and calming sound that was barely audible even to itself. This was a moment for deep relaxation, a chance for its peaceful mind to truly unwind. The journey had been continuous, but now, here in this sunlit snow cove, there was a feeling of safe arrival, a stability that invited repose. The light, reflecting softly from the surrounding snow, cast no harsh shadows, only gentle gradations of white and silver. It was an environment designed for rest, a natural, soothing cradle. The bear closed its eyes slowly, though not yet fully asleep, merely dozing beside shorelines of snow. It listened to winds, now truly softly sighing around the cove's protective edges, a sound so muted it was almost like the distant whisper of a lullaby. The cold air, while still present, felt less sharp within the sheltered space, allowing for true comfort to settle in. This peaceful wilderness, held within the embrace of the snow rises, seemed to hold its breath in unison with the bear. Every fiber of its being relaxed, surrendering to the profound quietness that enveloped it. The journey, which had begun in the amber twilight of the frozen edge, had led it through moonlit frost hollows, past ice arches at midnight, and across glassy ice fields under the morning sun. Now, at midday, it had found its temporary end in this serene and sun-drenched cove. The gentle progression of the hours, marked by changing light and shifting landscapes, had culminated in this moment of perfect repose. A sense of completion settled over the scene, the subtle glow of the sun, the soft sounds of the wind, the feeling of warmth in the light, all contributed to an atmosphere of ultimate comfort and stillness. This quiet interlude was more than just a pause. It was a deep, restorative rest, a moment of profound peace. The bear's thoughts, if they could be called thoughts, drifted like the lightest snowflakes, weightless and free. It rested, truly rested, inviting a deep sleep to envelop its tired but content form, here in the tranquil heart of the sunlit snow cove. The world beyond was still vast, but within this haven, there was only gentle, unending quiet. As the morning's brilliance stretched toward its peak, the polar bear continued its deliberate journey, moving away from the glassy expanses of ice. The vast flat fields had offered a wide, open world, but now a subtle shift in the air signaled a change in the land ahead. A series of low, undulating rises began to appear on the horizon, softly breaking the endless white line. These gentle slopes promised a different kind of terrain, a welcome variation after the long, unvarying plains of polished ice. The air, which had carried a faint, constant breeze across the open fields, seemed to quieten slightly, hinting at a sheltered space. Its strong, sturdy limbs carried it forward, each step measured and slow, a rhythmic padding across the ice that was now giving way to more settled snow. The journey had been long, spanning the silent hours of night and the quiet awakening of dawn. Now, the sun climbed higher, casting a warmer glow upon the landscape, though the air itself remained crisp and cold. The bear's thick white fur shimmered under the direct sunlight, blending almost perfectly with the surroundings, a soft and comforting presence in the immense Arctic wilderness. It followed the curve of the land, an instinct guiding its path toward a place of respite. Before long, the low rises became more defined, curving around in a gentle embrace, forming what appeared to be a natural alcove in the vast snowscape. This was the sunlit snow cove, a secluded haven carved by the patient hand of winter. The snowy rises rose just enough to offer protection, creating a natural bowl that seemed to gather the sunlight and hold it, amplifying its soft radiance. A feeling of immediate calm settled over the scene as the bear approached, its quiet paws crunching lightly on the pristine snow at the entrance. The enclosed setting was a welcome sight after the extended travel through varied Arctic environments. Within the cove, the wind's soft sighing, usually a constant presence, was significantly muted, reduced to the gentlest of whispers that barely stirred the surface of the snow. Sunlight pooled in the center of the cove, reflecting off every surface with a brilliant yet gentle luminescence. The effect was one of profound tranquility, a space where the world outside seemed to recede, leaving only a deep and soothing stillness. The bear slowly entered the heart of this peaceful sanctuary, its movements unhurried and full of quiet appreciation. It found a perfect spot, sheltered from any lingering breeze, where the sun's rays seemed to penetrate deepest into the snow. The bear lowered its large frame, settling into snow that had gathered in soft drifts, forming a natural bed. Its body relaxed, unwinding from the long hours of padding across ice and wandering snowy shores. A sense of contentment spread through it, a quiet understanding of this moment of rest. The very act of settling, of finding this perfect haven, brought with it a profound sense of comfort. Its soft breath swirled gently in the still air, a rhythmic and calming sound that was barely audible even to itself. This was a moment for deep relaxation, a chance for its peaceful mind to truly unwind. The journey had been continuous, but now, here in this sunlit snow cove, there was a feeling of safe arrival, a stability that invited repose. The light, reflecting softly from the surrounding snow, cast no harsh shadows, only gentle gradations of white and silver. It was an environment designed for rest, a natural, soothing cradle. The bear closed its eyes slowly, though not yet fully asleep, merely dozing beside shorelines of snow. It listened to winds, now truly softly sighing around the cove's protective edges, a sound so muted it was almost like the distant whisper of a lullaby. The cold air, while still present, felt less sharp within the sheltered space, allowing for true comfort to settle in. This peaceful wilderness, held within the embrace of the snow rises, seemed to hold its breath in unison with the bear. Every fiber of its being relaxed, surrendering to the profound quietness that enveloped it. The journey, which had begun in the amber twilight of the frozen edge, had led it through moonlit frost hollows, past ice arches at midnight, and across glassy ice fields under the morning sun. Now, at midday, it had found its temporary end in this serene and sun-drenched cove. The gentle progression of the hours, marked by changing light and shifting landscapes, had culminated in this moment of perfect repose. A sense of completion settled over the scene. The subtle glow of the sun, the soft sounds of the wind, the feeling of warmth in the light, all contributed to an atmosphere of ultimate comfort and stillness. This quiet interlude was more than just a pause. It was a deep, restorative rest, a moment of profound peace. The bear's thoughts, if they could be called thoughts, drifted like the lightest snowflakes, weightless and free. It rested, truly rested, inviting a deep sleep to envelop its tired but content form, here in the tranquil heart of the sunlit snow cove. The world beyond was still vast, but within this haven there was only gentle, unending quiet. Chapter 20. The polar bear ascended a final gentle rise, its thick white fur luminous under the clear midday sky. This remote frozen overlook presented itself as the journey's quiet culmination. A high point far removed from the shadowed shoreline where the long passage had first begun. Beneath the expansive dome of winter daylight, the vast world unfolded in shades of white and pale blue, stretching boundlessly toward the distant hazy curve of the horizon. No hint of the previous night's soft auroral lights remained, only the pure, steady brilliance of the sun, casting long, soft shadows from every undulation in the snow. The air here felt crisp and clean, carrying only the faintest whisper of a breeze, a barely perceptible shift that ruffled the tips of the bear's fur. It paused, a magnificent figure of stillness against the immense landscape. Its gaze drifted slowly, taking in the grand sweep of the frozen bay. This was the same Hudson Bay, yet seen now from a new perspective, bathed in a new light after a long and meandering route. The calm had been constant, a steady companion through all the hours of quiet travel. Below, the immense expanse of glassy ice fields traversed earlier now shimmered with an almost liquid silver, reflecting the serene sky. Beyond them, the drifted cliffs stood like silent sentinels, their snow-covered faces catching the full warmth of the sun's gentle rays. The bear remembered the precise texture of the crystalline ridge, the deep hush of the snow dune passage, the intricate patterns within the frozen river of light, and the sheltering comfort of the sunlit snow cove where it had briefly paused. Each landscape had offered its own unique sense of peaceful stability, a slow unfolding of the Arctic's quiet beauty. Its soft breath swirled gently in the cold air, rising in faint plumes that vanished almost instantly into the vastness. There was no urgency, no immediate destination beyond this tranquil survey. This was a moment for deep relaxation, a natural pause after a night and morning of continuous, deliberate movement. The bear had been wandering snowy shores and crossing icy plains, following coastal paths and exploring frozen inlets, each step a part of the greater, unhurried rhythm of its life. The midday light poured over everything, smoothing out details into a uniform, comforting glow. Tiny ice crystals on the snow surface sparkled like scattered diamonds, catching and scattering the light in a million minuscule glints. This subtle, almost silent display added to the pervasive sense of peace. The distant waves, usually a sound heard from the shoreline, were now only a faint, imagined murmur in the vast stillness, a memory of water hidden beneath the great, thick sheet of ice. The bear lowered itself slowly, its sturdy limbs stretching out with a quiet grace. It settled into a depression in a nearby snowdrift, forming a natural bed. The compact snow offered a yielding surface, cool yet somehow comforting against its thick white fur. Here, nestled into snow, the world felt contained and safe, even amidst its boundless expanse. A deep sense of contentment settled over the large animal, a quiet understanding of its place within this vast, beautiful environment. As it rested on snowdrifts, A profound stillness permeated its being. The long journey, a progression through amber twilight, moonlit hollows, and rose-light dawns, had brought it to this peaceful midday rest. It had followed the slow progression of time, witnessing the entire arc from dusk to dawn to the height of day. Each step had been deliberate, each observation quiet, each moment contributing to a tapestry of calm and enduring peace. The sun continued its high, slow arc across the sky, maintaining its steady, unwavering illumination. No clouds gathered to obscure its light, only the vast, clear blue above. The air remained still, almost reverent. The bear shifted subtly, curling into warmth, finding the perfect position to absorb the ambient calm. Its eyelids drooped, heavy with the quietude of its surroundings and the gentle satisfaction of a journey completed. Perhaps in this state of deep relaxation, a soft form of dreaming through winter began to settle upon it. Memories of the night's quiet pause crunching over frost flats, of gazing over waters at dawn, of pausing beneath starlight in the vast basin might have drifted through its peaceful mind. This was not a dream of action or pursuit, but one of slow breathing calm, of comfortable repetition, and of the profound safety found in its vast frozen home. The journey had found its quiet midday stillness here, beyond the familiar bay. It was a stillness that spoke not of an end, but of a long, peaceful continuity, a cycle of exploration and rest that defined the polar bear's existence. The world was utterly quiet, filled only with the soft presence of the large animal and the gentle, constant light of the winter sun. This pervasive comfort enveloped everything, inviting all to share in its deep, untroubled peace. The scene held a timeless quality, a vast, sleepy woodland feeling transposed onto the endless ice, offering solace and an invitation to deeper sleep. All was well, all was quiet, and the gentle journey had indeed found its tranquil conclusion.